And we are live. This is episode 99 of the Redman Group, almost at episode 100. Today's going to be a great show, amazing show. We have a special guest on today once again for the show. And I'm really excited to get through this, guys. Big time. Big time. So today's episode, we're actually going to have a YouTuber on the show from the MGTOW community, Coach Greg Adams. Boom. Welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, thank you, man. Good to be here.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate your time today coming on. I've been aware of you for at least a few months now. For example, I watched your show a little bit with Donovan Sharp. You guys had a live stream, hashed out some differences, things like that.
Yep.
So I'm glad to see it, man.
Yeah, it was good, man. I think most of the time people think that we're here to clash on a little bit of philosophical differences that we have, but you know, at the end of the day, it's we're talking about the same stuff, just how we're handling it. But many of us arrived here for the exact same reason. Yeah. And then the way we reason around things is how we build our audience, and certain people align with certain people. But at the end of the day, we're talking about the same stuff.
Yeah, I agree fully, man. I really think the manosphere itself is it's grown so much over the years.
Yep.
And there are sub communities, Red Pill, men's rights, MGTOW, PUA.
That's right.
But it's all, I think, kind of coalescing together, and there's a lot of positivity between it. Some infighting too, and conflict sometimes, but mostly it's like same page. Let's get shit done.
Yep.
So fuck yeah, man.
I think sometimes depending on how a man got here, like if a guy couldn't date and he wants to learn how to date, he got here. If a guy went through a bad toxic relationship, he got here and he aligned with certain groups. But most of it is generally around treatment of women or treatment by women or whatever it is.
Well, you'll even see some transference.
This is how we all get here.
Like in the pickup community, I was involved with that for a long time. Yeah. Well, I used to see guys though come in there and they would get out of like maybe a little bit bad relationship. They learn how to pick up chicks. Then they'd leave. They'd get married. Then they end up in the fucking men's rights community because they get divorced 5 years later, and then they come back to pick up. It was crazy, man.
Yeah. It's some of the messages that we teach is kind of like teaching men how to handle a punted football. All right. What happens is some guys eventually say, fair catch it, or let it bounce and go into the end zone, or, take it back to the house. So a lot of people have a different way to handle the situation. So like you said, they'll come in one way, they'll leave, and then come back in the back door the other way. So a lot of times you got to learn handling punted football. It's different based on the circumstances of the football and the defense coming at you. So this is what happens in our community.
Well, the cycle, it's like the Lion King. It's like the cycle of life. They just come in one way, then they leave, then they come back around, and then they're like, oh, I shouldn't have fucking left or something. Or there's more problems than I realized.
Way more problems. And handling women or dealing with relationships is difficult. It's very difficult. And this is why we are able to build an audience that we have, especially when women have the advantage. This is our perspective. We say women have the advantages. So when you go into it, you got to know what you're going into. And this is why we have the different subsects of the men's community.
And by advantages, you mean basically we live in kind of a gynocentric, woman-focused society, and that's not even appropriate to talk about, or it's not even okay to mention it.
Exactly. I mean, this is why we have the audience that we have, because there was a point where men couldn't talk about this. And if you talked about it, you were labeled weak, insecure, inconfident, ugly, incel. I mean, they would label you for talking about it. And I think men like us that say, you know what, you can label us whatever you want. We're going to talk about it. So
I get that shit every day, man, especially since the make women thing, this thing took off.
Right. Which to me is, I commend you on that. A lot of people, they'll attack you for it. And I look at it like, and I said this one time in the live stream, I was like, it takes balls to even try to attempt to put this out, especially in this culture where we have the Me Too, you have the gynocentric court system. To be able to come out and even put this out there it takes a lot of balls. So,
thanks,
you can agree or disagree with it, but at the end of the day, you're taking a risk, a chance, but it's a message that somebody needs to hear.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it's enraged so many people, not because it's false, but because it's true. There's core elements of truth to it, and that pisses people off. Right. If it was false, whatever, the women and the feminists and these Vichy beta males, they wouldn't give a shit.
They would ignore it.
Brush it off. Yeah, they would ignore it.
They would ignore it.
They're terrified by it. They would even say that on Twitter. They were like, look at the speakers. It's terrifying.
Okay,
terror.
Terrified. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you're scared a lot of times if you bully people enough, you're scared of what the response is to the person that you're bullying.
That's
right.
That's
if you're pushing these people along, every day you wake up, you're waiting for them to terrorize you. Right. So this is what's been happening. They've been using the media, propaganda, government, every which way to abuse us. And then they say, you need to be quiet about it. Well, at some point, the bullied becomes the bully. And then they're scared because now we're building an audience. Yeah. So we fight back. Yeah.
That's what I've noticed in our own audience. The YouTube channel we have is really old. So the audience is, some guys subscribed like 10 years ago,
Right.
So they're really fired up right now. I haven't seen them this fired up in a long time.
Good.
And as well as the new guys. And I think it's because they're seeing a cultural pushback and fighting back that's actually effective. That's got the opposition freaking the fuck out. And that's rare. That's hard to get that going. That snowball.
What you have is a revolution of sorts, because a lot of times the revolution is grassroots. It's not organized. They don't have lobbyists. It's not a organized attack. And a lot of times you're bringing in people. I'm bringing in people, and then you bring those people together. They don't know how to fight an unorganized attack, right?
Yep.
So they're going, all right, so where are these people? Who are they? Et cetera, et cetera. And here's the deal. See, a person like myself and you, we're self-employed. We don't depend on, people to pay us. So they can't call our job and fire us. Like they can't really stop us. So this is building up fear on their side. And the only way to defeat it is to talk negatively about us, which really doesn't impact us.
Or the deplatforming and stuff, which is a lot more. That's even more serious than getting fired. I mean, that's pretty bad in itself. But yeah, they're trying to like literally make you homeless and push you out in the street so you shut the fuck up.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's sad. That to me is a sad attack, because again, they tried it to a lot of men. And I don't know if you ever had a channel deplatformed, and they tried it to a lot of guys. And I think now they know that they can't do that. I mean, even though they know they want to do that, it's difficult for them to say, yeah, let's just keep deleting their channels. I mean, that's not the way to go about it, to silence another side of the argument.
It is sad. You mentioned it's sad. I fully agree, because they're throwing under the bus every American value and principle you can think of, like freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, all that stuff, and the tolerance they talk about. It's all bullshit. They hate it. They're the most intolerant people in the world, feminists.
But they want tolerance. And you ever notice that the people who ask for tolerance are always intolerant? They want you to give up every rule. Oh, accept me for my weight. But then as soon as you say, well, accept me for this. Oh, no, you're like, wait. You asked me to be tolerant on this side, but
it's tolerance for thee, not for me.
That's right.
So, I got none of it. I call feminists the biggest bigots in the world.
They are. So. They are. I mean, it's most of the time they are the biggest of something. Most of the time they're the biggest of something. But they are. And here's the thing. I'm a history buff. I like to read history books and all of these things. And a lot of women typically, they don't like history. They never did well in history. They don't care to remember dates. But what's important for them to remember is our country was built on the things that they're trying to violate. All right. And people defended it with their lives. All right. In order for us to have these freedoms to speak against tyranny, against some of the inequities in law and unfairness. And they want to wipe all of that away. All right. Because they don't understand the context of history. And they'll say, forget the Constitution. It means nothing to us. Those were old white men. Okay, well, you're going to give up everything if we want to forget all of that. And if you're prepared to do that, be prepared for the barbarian at the gate, is what I call it. Our new boss to come knocking at our door, and you'll have nothing to do but lie on your back and give up that peace leave, as I call it on my show.
Yeah. This is gonna be a great show. Before we get more into today's show, let's take a look at our sponsor.
All right.
The 21 Convention, second Patriarch edition, which Coach Greg Adams is a new speaker of. Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
we'll
man.
be adding him to the page this weekend. Really appreciate having you on board, man. 100%. I know you have a father, or you're a father, so you have at least one son, right? Or two?
I have a son and the daughter.
Oh, cool. Hell yeah, man.
Yep.
Nice. So yeah, so I mentioned that because the event is 100% fathers, biological fathers.
Oh, good.
Which is unique. Most of our events are just for men in general. They're not for fathers. So the speakers can be, bachelors, fathers, whatever. Okay. This event, though, it's 100% fathers. So I don't even speak at it because I'm not a father myself.
Okay.
But I look forward to having you on, man. Kicking ass.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to being there.
We got a buy one, get one going on right now at the 21convention.org /patriarch, or just go to the main site. And you'll meet a lot of speakers there, like Coach Greg Adams. I'll be there hosting it. I won't be a speaker, but I'll be around. And then you'll see Tanner Guzzi, Hunter Drew, Elliot Hull, Stefan Molyneux, Mike Cernovich, Ryan Mitchler, George Bruno, Socrates. A lot of amazing guys. All guys who've been in the Red Man group at one point, basically. So I hope see you guys out there. Get your tickets now. They're about half off still, and the event's in 2 months, and you can bring a friend free. Or if you have a wife or whatever, a girlfriend, you can send her to the 22 convention for free. No problem. So make it a couples thing and all that. Oh, look, Donovan Sharp in the chat. Hell yeah, there we go.
Yeah, man. What's up, Donovan? I appreciate you, man.
Boom. I will get this out. So I appreciate you guys checking all that stuff out. Big time. Come to the events. It's an amazing time. You're around the guy, not just the speakers, but a lot of attendees like yourself that share your values, share your concerns, share your goal or missions in life, and kind of a lot of values you have. It's an incredible experience to network, come out, and have a really, really good time. It's my life's work. I'm doing it for about 14 years now. So fuck yeah. All right, enough from our sponsor, which is also the owner of the Redman Group.
There you go. Yeah, sometimes you gotta, make sure you get your information out the way you need to. It's all good.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about your background, because I'm still new to you. I found you several months ago, and I know certain things about you, but a lot of our audience maybe doesn't.
Yeah.
So how did you get into becoming a MGTOW YouTuber? Like that, obviously you weren't born that way, and you weren't doing that 10 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. I did a video because a lot of people, a lot of new subscribers don't know how I got here. They see the name Coach Greg Adams and they're like, who is this guy? All right, he was a coach or something. Well, I was a college basketball coach for like 15 years and I coached high school basketball. So I was on the women's side and I did that. And I thought I was going to do that for the rest of my life.
Wait, so you were coaching women and now you coach men?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And a lot of times, what I tell people is that I've been around so many women, all right, in my life to really see behind the curtains what a lot of men don't see.
Yeah.
I've traveled with women, and most of the time when I traveled, I was the only guy. All right. So It was me and a staff of 3 women coaches and then all other women. So I traveled with women for 15 years. I saw behind the curtain. I saw things that most guys never see.
Yeah.
And that influenced me. Of course,
heard things too, right?
What's that?
And heard things too, yeah.
And heard things, heard them talk about relationships, saw them riding the cock carousel, all the stuff that we see, saw them sharing the same men. And of course, you saw the lesbianism that's pretty prominent in women's sports as well. And you saw women come in straight, gay, straight, and married. I've seen all of this stuff. And
wow.
And a lot of guys see none of this. And so when you think about it, a lot of women will say, where are you meeting these women? These women don't exist. I'm like, I've lived and traveled with women all of my life, all of my young life between the ages of 20 and 30. And then I got married. And a lot of people think about my marriage and divorce. And they're like, oh, that's why he's red pill. And I'm like, no. I mean, once I got divorced, I actually went back on the marketplace and dated and had sex with women and enjoyed it. And then it was that point where, women started to try to pressure me into getting married again. That's when I started going, okay, wait a minute. Whoa, hold up. We saw a different dynamic of women with the whole technology. Instagram.
And when was your divorce? Several years ago?
2013. So 2013. And then that was ugly. It was ugly, of course. I learned what the family court was. And I fought her off for 7 good years, right? And to the point of even last year, she kept taking me into court every year. But
wow,
what happened was all of that information that I was gathering in the family court and learning the dating landscape, technology, Instagram. What happened was I started listening. That's how I got into it. I started listening to Tom Likas, and then that led to Sandman. Then that led into Big John from MGTOW. So I started listening to this stuff and going, oh, it makes sense. Since I've experienced it, lived it, now I can understand it because they're explaining it.
Well, it sounds to me like you connected a lot of different dots from Tinder, Instagram shit, modern dating to family court, divorce court. It sounds like you tied it all together.
Yeah.
It sounds like to me.
And many men don't experience all of these all at once, right?
Yeah.
They experience like a bad relationship and then they come in here. Well, I'm like, all right, I lived with women for 15 years. Then I lived with a wife. Then I went on the dating landscape. I sampled a whole bunch of different areas and tried to make it work. Now, once I got to the point where I'm like, all right, these guys are saying no cohabitation, no long-term relationship, no marriage. I'm like, I can accept that because I actually tried all of them and it didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. And you always had the influence of the outside world influencing these women. Yeah. And then I finally said, all right, I'll accept that more to focus on myself and make myself look better or feel better. And then at the end of the day, I started making videos and I said, maybe I'll get 10,000 subscribers, right? And then it took off. And I was like, okay, so somebody wants to hear this.
Here's your channel, by the way, 86,100 subscribers and growing. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You've gained tens of thousands just in the past few months, right?
Yeah, I think the channel's been slowed down, obviously, by YouTube. It's not monetized anymore. And I want to say probably around September and October, I was getting about 7,000 subscribers a month. Now I'm about 2,000. So in the first 12 months or so, it got up to 70,000, right? It got up to 70,000. Now it's been slowed down dramatically.
Yeah.
But
and they kicked you out of the partner program, you're saying, completely?
Yeah, well, they don't monetize any videos, so it's they haven't kicked me out. Again, this is something that I don't know if we talked about it on air, but we were talking about how they silence you. We were talking about it.
Yeah.
How they silence you, and this is a way they silence you. They discourage you from putting out content. They'll say, "We won't monetize it, even if we manually review it. You have the option, but we'll never monetize it." And once they do that, they don't expose you to a greater audience.
Yeah.
When you're monetized, they expose you to just about everyone, and then your videos will get more views, and then you'll get more subs. I think they try to discourage you from doing that when they say, "Oh no, this doesn't fit this aspect of the monetization, but we'll still keep you out here."
They're trying to control you, basically. Yeah, they're trying to influence your behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
it's fucked up shit, man, for a neutral platform, right?
It's supposed to be. And I've seen worse. And the funny thing I had was there was a girl, I can't never remember her name, but I did a video about her. She was supposed to be 15 years old. She's like a pop celebrity, but she's really 13. I did a video about her and they demonetized it. And I was like, wait a minute. When I go to her channel's monetized. I'm like, wait, how are you going to monetize the person and demonetize me for talking about her? And I didn't use any of her content or anything. So some of these things are a little hypocritical, but expected from this type of platform. They don't want to hear it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So let's get a little more into, I wanted to get in some really savage here. I have your books pulled up. I want to get to those in a minute.
Yeah.
But this is one of the most savage things I've ever seen on feminism. And I like to say a lot of savage shit about feminism myself.
Right.
I've called feminism the new pink KKK, for example, which a lot of feminists don't like.
Right. Pink KKK.
So here's, I saw this on your Instagram not too long ago. And you go into it. I think it's from a YouTube video, and you put on your Instagram. We will look at feminism like we look at slavery in 150 years. And I looked at that, and you're black as well, of course. You're not a white guy or Asian guy or something.
Right.
So this was fascinating, and I looked at it, and I was like, absolutely, this is right. But coming from a black guy in particular, that's really fucking savage. Like, if I said that, I would get screamed at pretty bad for several reasons. But I think you're right. Can you talk to me about this?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think because I'm black, right, I could say something like this and then I won't get attacked from every angle, as opposed to if you would have said it, you would have got attacked by pro-blacks and everybody. And now, people are a little bit more hesitant to attack black men talking about slavery, although you will hear some people call you a sellout, coon, Uncle Tom. I can accept that. But then when you think about the fact that how we look at slavery today is different than the people, how they looked at it 150 years ago. They rationalized it. They said, hey, this is the system. We can't do anything about it. It actually benefits us financially. And when you think about some of the arguments that they use to rationalize it, they actually look at feminism the same way. They rationalize it. Well, women have to work now. We need them to compete. Men are getting squashed down. They're getting disenfranchised, but we need women out here. Women need to be empowered. But then ultimately what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of negative effects of this push. When we look at it now, there's still negative effects now. There's a marriage rate failing. The divorce rate is high. People aren't marrying at the rate. There's more single women than there ever been in the history. There are more women in debt. Now they're trying to elect somebody in to clear that debt.
You mean single motherhood or single women or both?
Single motherhood and single women. I mean, there's more single mothers than there were in the last.
Oh, it's huge. Years. I was looking at the numbers the other day, and I think it's like 38 or 40% or something like that.
No, I mean, it's 45 total in the United States. Now, when you add the black community.
But 100 years ago, it was fucking 2%.
Yeah.
Two. Yeah. Literally fucking 2.
It was unheard of.
Yeah.
It was unheard of to be
dangerous. You'd starve to death. You'd be a fucking hooker or something to survive.
Well, there was a time where I think some communities, if a young girl got knocked up, they would send her to relatives in another state.
Yep.
She can hide that. I mean, have that kid hide it, then come back to school. Oh, I had, appendicitis, or whatever they would give.
Yeah.
That's this. Now they promote it and they say you're empowered. It wasn't your fault that you out here fornicating with men that you shouldn't be with. I mean, it's absolutely.
Can you believe that fucking loser abandoned you? That guy with 8 tattoos with 3 baby mamas? Who fucking would have thought? Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Yeah.
And you're out here selecting men based on, evolutionary standards. You want them tall, aggressive. You want the hot football player or whatever, and you lie down on your back, and then he knocks you up and runs. Now we're supposed to as men, accept all of that responsibility because you didn't select right.
Yeah, these are basically deadbeat moms. You're just not allowed to call them that. Only the deadbeat dads that run away because he was obviously an unhinged douchebag in the first place.
He had no intentions of staying in, and a lot of young women unfortunately try to turn club hookups into relationships. Yeah. Oh, you got me pregnant. Oh, now you need to stay. Yo, I was some guy at the club you met. All right.
Well, so this is a good point though, because when they try to change a guy, that means they knew it in advance, or they pretty much knew it, and they didn't. They're like, well, it'll fucking work out, or I'll just make it. It's like the arrogance, entitlement that they can change somebody they don't even know is delusional, man.
Delusional. But if you look at it, if we do enough of this later on in 150 years, there's going to be somebody who picks up our content. They're going to pick up the books. And this is why I wrote the books, because I said, YouTube will deplatform me. And then there goes all my videos. Right. So I said, at least I'm going to put something out there in writing. Somebody's going to pick it up and look at the conditions of our country and say, wow, it wasn't like this all the time. Okay. Yeah. I get this from young guys. They'll come to my video. They're 24, 25. Their reality is that there's always been dating sites. There's always been Tinder. There's always been Instagram, and there's always been Facebook. These are new things, gentlemen. These are new things that have influenced the rate of relationships. All right. And for men who are older than me, single mothers, that's a new thing. All right. Women out there fornicating and jumping on baloney pony and not marrying guys until age 28. These are all new things.
Yeah, well, dude, when I grew up in the 90s, man, being a kid in elementary school, single mother, that would not even have been a concept. Like, some people got divorced and that was pretty rare and taboo, but it happened. But single mother, these unwed chicks just getting knocked up. Like, I was barely aware of that at 10 years old. Like, that should even happen. That would be like, holy fuck, what happened?
Yeah,
as a little kid. And now that's just normal, especially in Orlando where I live now, man, Central Florida. The whole area has just got a ring of single mothers, man. It's crazy. They live in these little cities around the main city, because it's too expensive. So they move out to the little countryside, which is cheaper and shit. So
yeah, well, a lot of these things that we see today that are normal for these young people were not normal for us. And it's good that older men now can talk about this and bring this perspective to tell you guys, look, these things that you're seeing right now, they weren't intended to be this. They were made this way. Yeah. And the one thing that hasn't changed around everything is us, right? Like, at one point, they wanted us to change. We were along for that ride. And then until we said, let's pull this back. All right. That's what they don't like. All right. Yeah. And a lot of people will say, well, MGTOW or manosphere is like feminism. And I say it's not, because here's the deal. When you look at feminism, they're promoted by politicians, the media, lobbyist groups. All right. They have a lot of people in backing to prop them up.
They are the establishment. They're the biggest establishment in the world, at least in America. Yeah, they control everything. It's nuts.
They control everything, every narrative, commercial, whatever you look up. There's always some feminist angle about something. Now, when we talk, they want us to be quiet. They're like, don't talk about it. No, you don't have that opinion. You're wrong. And they do everything to tell us to not talk about it. So when you look at it, it's comparing apples to oranges. We're actually silenced. They're actually promoted. It's not the same thing.
I would also say that the manosphere, all the elements of it, are fundamentally, they have a much better approach. Well, they have a lot of it, self-improvement. Feminism, there's fucking none of that. Any of the female dating strategy, 2X curves on these subreddits, and feminism more widely, they don't promote self-improvement. At best, maybe,
that's actually a good point.
Get fit, but maybe, not even that.
Not even that.
And then any kind of self-improvement, self-reflection, introspection, changing yourself, like healing your unresolved daddy issues, none of that shit is ever talked about.
Right.
Whereas men are constantly self-improving. We're getting fit, get wealthy, get healthy, all that stuff. Understand the opposite sex,
Yep. And
whatever you're going to do. Exactly. Make a decision. Yeah.
And most of the times you'll even hear me as, a MGTOW guy say, look, most of the time when you do these things that you just talked about, women will the byproduct of that is women will seek you out. All right. And then you'll have to understand them with red pill knowledge. You'll have to select accordingly if you want to ever go back to that, which some men do. And I don't blame them for it, because a lot of times, they simply want a pair bond as a way to cope or whatever that is. But if you improve yourself, focus on your money, learn how to invest, build up your wealth. If you do all of that, women are going to seek you out. And you just have to expect that, because this is their nature. They have to leech and attach themselves to you in
Jesus.
order to survive and get to the next level. Listen, women can tell me all they want in terms about strength and what they're able to do.
They don't need no man. Didn't you hear? They don't need no man. They need a man like a fish needs a bicycle, man.
Okay. Well, what about the government? See, they could say that. They could say that until the government pulls the rug up from under their feet. All right. They could say they don't need a man. But I look at the poverty rates. I look at the rate of older women out here living with roommates and relatives and cats and all that stuff. All right. Yep. As your sexual marketplace value declines in your 40s, you're going to earn less money. All right. That's just the reality of the situation. Now, once that happens, you got to live the next 40 years talking about you don't need no man. Good luck.
Yeah. And you know who does really need a man is children. Kids need their fathers, man.
Oh, great point.
That never gets talked about. You don't need no man. You know who does? Your kids. Especially if you're a single mom. Yeah.
Yep. They do need a man, and they cannot raise men, and they end up raising bum men who continue the cycle of beta male activity that they wish they would have had their man be. All right. So they had no beta males. So they raise these young boys. Oh, pull out chairs. Wear your little tuxedo.
Smother them rather than mother them. Smother them, yeah.
Because they don't have a man to control, so they control it via their son.
Yeah, that's right. But some of the kids even turn out the opposite. They get like this unhinged, like these young alphas. My high school quarterback, this guy, he was, absolute stud, like total Chad Thundercock to the max. He ended up getting, well, first of all, he totaled his car right outside the school parking lot at 16. Like he was drunk as shit. Mm-hmm. But he was a great quarterback. I mean, he was killing it. Somehow he got out of that. Then the next year, our senior year, he knocked up 2 cheerleaders, the 2 hottest ones at the same time. They were both pregnant when we all graduated.
Wow.
Now he was raised by a single mother. His dad went around. So it's like, I think a lot of them do end up being these like mama's boys that they're all fucked up from that angle. But some of them just end up this way. And then he literally repeated the cycle twice in a row before he was 18.
Right.
It was like, damn, man, somebody fucked up.
Well, here's the deal. If you look at that man, take that man. All right. How much of that man is going to be committed to the system now that he's done that? All right. He's committed to the system now for 20 years. So that same man, until he's right around 40, will be attached to the system. And by virtue of that attachment to the system, he owes that system money. He has to now take responsibility of someone that he don't really know who these girls are. All right. They were just lying on their back and they were giving it to him easy. But now he has to take care of those women. All right. That actually benefits the greater society. It benefits capitalism now. It benefits feminism. It benefits the gynocentric court system. They're all in business now because he decided to do that. So we're trying to tell young guys, look, I know you I call it peace leave on my channel because I tried to stay censored. All right. I tried to censor myself. All right. And make it more comical. All right. But you liked it. But guess what it got you into? All right. This is what a father would tell a son. But there's no fathers.
Yeah.
There's no fathers. Even fathers now who are married. All right. They're in essence, handcuffed.
They've been
by
silent.
women who believe in this feminism. Oh, I can run the household. You have to listen to me. No, I don't.
Well, that's been the one of the main premises of the 20. How do I get this on here? What the fuck? There we go. So I was going to say that the 22 convention, we call it the mansplaining, pro-woman event, all that, but destined to be the mansplaining event of the century. And one of the reasons I did that was a couple of reasons. Number one, I knew they would attack me with that, so I embraced it beforehand. Good. But really what I mean is that men and fathers in particular have been, like you said, handcuffed, who've been silenced in every way imaginable throughout the entire country at every level. You're not allowed to have, with very rare exceptions, and they have to fight like hell usually, like Trump or some other celebrity who wants to speak up. You can't have a masculine voice in the culture right now. It's been silenced. It's been removed in every way imaginable.
Yep.
And really, I think the keyword mansplaining has been a tool of doing that over the past couple of years. A really powerful one. Unfortunately, it's a weapon. So,
well, it's I'll go back to this. It takes balls to do what you're doing right now. All right. Not a lot of men will do exactly this. All right. Because you're using buzzwords, you're using symbolism that they're going to attack in order to prevent them from attacking it from that angle. All right. I kind of use that too, but you're now broadcasting that out to a greater audience and you have a lot of people talking about it. And that's exactly what you need. Even if they're disagreeing and they're trying to attack it, you need that. But here's the deal. Just as Trump did. All right. He did exactly that. and it elected him because at the end of the day,
Yep.
even the women, and he got a greater percentage of the women vote than they ever want to admit. Even the women knew, all right, at the end of the day, he's a way better option than a feminist. Yeah. All right. A well-known, out the closet feminist, outright feminist. And they elected him as such, even if he was saying grab the peace leave. All right. Even when he was out there saying, he said some outlandish stuff, and he did it to a point where they could never attack him on it. All right. Yeah. And the public still elected him. All right. He didn't win the popular vote, but enough to put him into the presidency. You're doing the same thing. Okay. And I think
where do you think I learned it from?
There you go. No, I mean, to me, it's genius. A lot of people, even down to the hat, that symbolizes patriarchy and the hate for Trump. They see that and they want to attack it just based on that level. But here's the deal: you're going to get an audience of women that know they don't want to live by themselves for the next 40 years. You're going to get an audience of women who say, you know what, I want to divorce my husband because I think I could get a better option at age 48. All right. You're going to get a group of women that say, look, I'm conservative. All right. I have conservative values. I would like to learn how to avoid the traps that feminism has ahead of me because it's not going to work out.
That's right.
All right. We need men. All right. We need men. And the government, the more we depend on the government, the more we push down not only men, but we push down our kids and ourselves. I think it's a great idea.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been pretty wild doing it, man. I mean, all the media attention you're talking about. We've reached like 100 million people so far this year with it. Yeah. In terms of broadcast and shit, which is huge. I mean, we do a lot of views anyway, like on YouTube, like you, but that's way above anything we've ever done. I mean, that's like triple our channel view count.
Good.
Almost. Yeah.
Good. I mean, look, not all men are going to agree with you either, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. I've got pushback, yeah.
Men will either they'll be like, okay, they're not strong men that are leading the conference, or they'll even go as far as to white knight for these women. All right. And so a lot of times white knights are more of a problem for men who speak out against women than women themselves, because feminism would be nowhere without white knight syndrome. And you're going to be attacked by white knights who don't want women to be, in essence, instructed to be better women. They want them to be out there and be thoughts, because that gives them a better chance to get the peace leave that they would never get on the regular landscape. So it's good, in my opinion.
Thanks, man. Yeah, your video quality, by the way, audio is kind of busting up real quick. Do I look normal to you?
I can see you, but my video is I don't know. It's not as light as it normally is. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine though. Yeah, it's just the video, like the choppiness. It's all right though. Probably fix itself in a second. Yeah, man. So one more thing before we move on, you mentioned the with the feminism and the slavery stuff. So a basic way, when I looked at it, what I thought too was not only the things you were talking about with it, but feminism today is such a dominant cultural force that people don't even question it. And they, like you said, they just make excuses for it and rationalizations, but it's really serious and really fucking gross. I mean, men and fathers and boys are even being systemically biased against and harassed and treated like second-class citizens, like shit. And modern culture and modern America, and that's fucked up. And it's for all the people and all these women, the feminists that say equality is all important, all this bullshit. They don't mean any of this stuff. They're the main, like I called them earlier on. They're the biggest bigots in the world. Like they've normalized the hatred of men and fathers, which is so fucked up. Like the America I grew up in the 90s, like that wasn't okay to hate the opposite sex based on the way they were born. That's just stupid, and that's just gone out the fucking window like real fast.
Right. I think women will probably disagree with you and say, well, they were on the opposite end of the spectrum. They were the ones being hated because of their sex. But I think what they get wrong is this. This is where they get it wrong. And they probably have a point. And everybody has a point. So I'm always like, I'll listen to your point. But what I would tell them is this. At the end of the day, when there's a correction event, a bad economy, a war, somebody to fight, an enemy, terrorism, when there's something like that, they always turn to men to defend. All right. Yeah. When it's convenient for them, they'll always say, oh, women and children in the boat first. Okay. And this is where men have a problem. Okay. Despite the fact that we're talking about equality and we can do this and girl empowerment, and we're going to disenfranchise men in order to correct the 200 years of women being disenfranchised. Okay. Most men will say that's fair. However, when it's time to fight, when it's time to put out the fire, when it's time to arrest the enemy, you turn to men the stronger man, the stronger vessel. And
Yeah.
that is where we want to make sure you don't destroy, because when you destroy that right there allows the barbarian at the gate to come in. And I always talk about the barbarian at the gate is we don't know what it is. Right now it's coronavirus, right? So right now they're fighting over toilet paper in the grocery store aisles. Now, when this happens, when the new enemy comes in, what they have to understand is if you weaken men so much to the point where we don't even want to defend you anymore, we're like, hey, well, go ahead. All right, they're coming to rape you. Have fun. All right. When the barbarian at the gate comes in and you lose your power, you don't stand up for yourselves because the men are no longer standing up for yourself. You're going to have to lie on your back for a lot of men, and a lot of men who are going to treat you far worse than the men that you have now that you can empower. This is what we try to explain to them. You guys can't keep sending these mixed signals that you can do it on your own. Then when you see terror, you say, go guys, help us. No, it's not going to work like that.
Well, it's even worse than mixed signals. It's mixed signals with no consequences. They offload all the responsibility. They want all the authority, none of the responsibility, dumping on all the men.
Yep.
So yeah, it's like double, triple fucked. So I see it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're seeing now that, and I always said teachers slept with their students all the time. I mean, this is something that's not new. Even the amount of female teachers that sleep with their male students, this is not new. It's now new that the media is reporting on it. All right. But even then, these people are not getting penalized, right? And feminism turns a blind eye. All of a sudden, they don't want to address it. But if the same thing was happening, and I taught in education, like I said, I taught at colleges and high schools with the basketball thing, and I've had female students throw themselves at me, okay? Because I did it while I was young. They threw themselves at me. And these girls were 15, 16, and they were telling me they would do things to me that if their parents knew they were offering this up, they would be mortified.
Holy fuck.
And here's the deal. A lot of men succumb to this, and these same men get 40 years. Okay. Yeah. These women are getting 10 years probation, and their teacher's license is not suspended. This is not equality. And the fact that they never call this out makes you say feminism is about hypocrisy. It's not about equality for all. It's equality and domination for women. That's what it is.
Yeah, I like this. I like to say, not to say, but comedian Bill Burr and I think a few others used to say that, you know, feminists are all about equality, but they treat it, so they say, but they treat it like a Chinese food buffet. They just pick and choose what they want as they go through it, and then they like, you know, statutory rape against 16-year-old boys. Who cares?
Yep.
Yeah, some probation's fine. We don't need to go to jail for that.
Exactly.
And another one too I like to look at is alimony. 98% of alimony in America goes to women. That's a big gender pay gap. I was hearing no feminists talking about that.
None. And what we see, the thing is, we bring it up on the channel and they deplatform us for bringing that up.
Yep.
And you're going, wow. I mean, this is when we look at what feminism truly is, it's not about equality. It's never going to be about equality. Right now,
it's about tyranny and control.
Tyranny and control. Yes. Control of men financially. So
yeah.
By financial means, and here's the deal: men aren't marrying, so they have to figure out a way how to get our resources. Okay, so we're not going to entangle ourselves into these marital contracts, and so they say, how are we going to get their money? Me too them, sexually harass claim them, sperm jack them. All right, a lot of these things that they're doing are basically pseudo marriages.
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, some women are willing to do that, and they're not going to go back to the old system because they can get our money without actually being with us.
And in the meantime, though, men are still paying 60, 70% of income tax in America.
Yeah,
women do pay some, but they pay minorities, and then that shit all goes to welfare programs, single welfare queens, they call them, the single mom stuff, the housing, the food, all the stuff they get.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's like universal cuckery. It sucks.
The only way, and again, so if you look at it from that perspective, and I'm coming from a MGTOW and I have the free agent lifestyle philosophy, I'm like, look, don't entangle yourself with this system. And this is what we're telling men. Look, stay far away from it. It's like a punted football that I talked about. They punt it and you're deep in at the 10-yard line. All right. Let it go into the end zone. All right. Let it flop. And at some point, maybe they'll adjust. That's what we're hoping.
Let the peace leaf flop.
Let it flop. Let it flop right there on the one, go through the end zone, whatever it's going to do. Just stay away from it.
Well, I got your book pulled up here on Amazon. Talk to me a little bit about it. Free Agent Lifestyle.
Yep.
Men's Guide to Peace, Quiet, and Freedom. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a philosophy book where it's like what men ultimately want at the end of the day is peace and quiet and freedom. All right. This is what men fight for. Men have lost their lives in order to achieve this. And sometimes because of our dependency on vagina, what happens is we get involved with women who are toxic, and we believe, or women who weren't toxic but became toxic, and they disrupt your peace, quiet, and freedom. So a lot of men don't know how to get out of those situations. And what happens is once they do get out of these entanglements, they realize that the peace, quiet, and freedom is actually better than trying to attract vagina, right? Or vagina that is attached to the government. And, you know, I talk about all of the things that you can possibly do to achieve this freedom other than entangling yourselves with women. But men do it the opposite. We're groomed to do it the opposite. We're groomed to find the woman, and then by virtue of her, she will give us peace, quiet, and freedom. She will lead us to do and make more money and do more things to get that. And that's not been true. That's not been true for probably 80 to 90% of marriages. So what I'll tell guys to do is focus completely on yourselves, wait till these women hit the wall, and then you'll probably get better women on the back end than you would if you try to do this at age 24, 25. So I've built my life up to age 40. Now I'm age 40 with peace, quiet, and freedom. On the back end, I could go back to a 24-year-old. You can't do that at 28 with nothing. So this is basically what the book is about.
No, I got to say, man, I need to buy it. I'm looking forward to it. I see it's doing pretty well on Amazon too. You got a lot of reviews, man. 165. That's solid.
Yeah, it did real well. I didn't think it would do. Again, I was like, maybe 10 people might pick it up. You know, I'm like, you know, as long as some people find something positive out of it, they don't have to believe everything that I'm saying.
Yeah, but you want them to look at it independently and critically and truly think for themselves.
Yeah, think for yourself. Make your own philosophy out of this book. And I hope that the next guy who reads this is able to build an audience based on something that I read. They kind of do that to the other men who've written books and say, I took this from this and then I developed it. So fine with me.
Yeah, keep spreading the message.
Yeah.
I got to say too, man, on a personal note, I mean, everything you just talked about, especially with the ages, actually, you even mentioned 24. I went through this myself. I don't know if you're aware of this, but at 24, I think I was 24. I sort of pseudo married, private married, I called it, because I avoided legal entanglements because I was aware of men's rights issues, fathers' rights issues, divorce and shit from the men's rights community. I was like, I'm never getting legally married ever. But I married this BPD hooker basically, unknowingly. A very toxic relationship. Literally, she was an escort. I found out later on.
Oh wow! Okay,
This isn't like an insult. Like literally a call girl. Yeah, this is a whole clusterfuck. You can look it up on borderline personality disorder.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah.
A cluster B clusterfuck. We call it.
Okay, so she was an escort.
Yeah, before I met her, and then even we were together, I found out.
Wow. Okay, that's cool.
It's on YouTube. You could check it. I gave a speech on it. It went viral. It's got 400,000 views. It's called "Marrying Medusa: How to Survive a Female Psychopath."
Okay.
You'll enjoy it.
Right. A lot of men will do this, by the way. A lot of with seeking arrangements and all this stuff now, you're in 10 years, you'll find out that your woman has done something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I didn't know, of course I didn't know any of that shit she was doing. She hid all of it. She was very, very covert. Zero tattoos, none of that shit, right?
Yep.
Some green flags, I thought I saw, but it was all bullshit. But anyway, back to what you were saying though, like, I did that at 24 with a lot of the ideas you were thinking about, even with some awareness of men's rights and, good experience of going out picking up chicks.
Yep.
I'd been in the pickup artist community. I'd gone out to a lot of bars and clubs and stuff like that and had success. Learned the hard way too. It took a lot of time.
Yeah. Well,
but then she hit the wall though, like right when I met her, like 30. So she was older than me, hit the wall, all this bullshit.
Yeah.
It was
30. Yeah.
Fucked up clusterfuck.
She got you. Yeah, she got you.
Yeah. But then I got out of it, I got out of it scot-free. I didn't lose any money. I lost zero money, which was pretty dope. Yeah. I wasn't legally married. So it was a lot of good things. I learned a lot too.
Okay.
But now that I'm 31, so now things have changed. That was 4 years ago. We split up, divorced or whatever. So now I'm 31, and now, dude, I can bang girls, as old as I want. I don't usually want to do that, but I can.
Right.
But then I can bang 19, 20-year-old girls all the time now, 21, 22, 23.
Yes.
And the window, so it's better quality. They're younger. They haven't gone through all this trauma.
Yes.
They're obviously, 10 years from hitting the wall or something.
Right.
So
I always tell guys this, man. It is basically what happens. I said, look, when you're 24, you build up with all this testosterone. You're easily influenced, and an older woman can come in here, and you don't understand a woman at 30 when you're 24. You don't understand that her time is running out. She has to grab someone. She's trying to hit a buzzer beater is what I call it. And her eggs are drying up like the Sahara Desert. So she has to grab someone. We don't understand that. We're thinking, oh, this mature woman wants me. And so you get into a situation with her. She's toxic. Men her age won't grab at her. And once you get 31, 35, then you realize as a 35-year-old, you wouldn't even go after a 28-year-old, 29, 30-year-old buzzer beating woman. You'd be like, no, I'll stay clear away from this woman. And then you realize as well that it's much easier to get an 18, 19-year-old woman who, if you decided to marry her or get with her long term, you can get 20 good years out of her. A woman who is 30, 35, you're going to get 5 years tops.
It's funny. It's like a car. It's like, hey, 20 years out of that car.
Yeah, I mean, some people listen. I love buying used cars, all right, but I know I guess the disadvantage of buying them is that I might get 2 years out of them, tops, maybe 5. But if I get a new car, I can stretch that out to 20 years, right? It's the same thing. And a lot of times men compare women to cars, and they don't like that. But it's because we understand cars. They don't. They'll drive around with the oil light, car engine check light on. They'll drive around for months with it, so they don't understand cars. We do, so we can compare them to that. But look, man, at the end of the day, men grow up and get to the positive side of your sexual marketplace value. Once you do that, you will realize that all the people who are trying to hand you stuff at age 32, 33, these women, they were no good.
Yeah.
The likelihood that they were any good is slim and none. And Slim just died. So
Slim just
so just push yourself forward, ignore them, stay away from them. All right. Occasionally deal with them in a transactional relationship.
Yeah.
You're going to find out that it's going to be far more positive for you to do it that way than trying to dip into it at age 24. You don't have the advantage.
Yeah, you don't have the advantage. You don't have the experience. I mean, that's one of the issues too. Is these older women hitting the wall, hunting down younger dudes. I mean, that was a particularly fucked up scenario. The chick being a literal hooker, like holy fuck. As well as like, dude, like a nurse. She had a bachelor's in nursing from a real college, like other stuff. She seemed put together and all this bullshit. But at the end of the day, it was all bullshit. But at that age, at 24, man, especially any girl who's older than you with some experience in life, you do not have what it takes to see through that shit. You just don't. Don't. Maybe if you're in the manosphere and you're really tuning into like speakers and YouTube channels, maybe, but it's not firsthand. It's it's second party from someone you're watching on YouTube like me or Gregor.
Right.
And it's much better if you can learn it through that way. Good for you. But learning the hard way, that shit works. And you learn firsthand. You don't forget it.
We learn our greatest lessons by bumping our head on our own. We can tell you till we're blue in the face, and I won't get blue in the face. You probably would before I would. But at the end of the day, we could talk all day long about this until the situation presents itself in their lives. They have to put it into action or learn. And once they learn, if they can learn without impregnating a woman and without marrying them, if they can learn that way, then they can avoid a lot of the crippling things that we have to put up with. But you're talking about your escort girlfriend, wife or whoever she was. Here's the deal, man. In today's age, that is going to be common.
That's right.
That is not. See, back in your time, when you did this, it was probably like, dang, that's outrageous. 10 years from now, that is going to be commonplace. My now wife was a seeking arrangement woman selling her peace leave on the internet.
Well, let me just tell you straight up. So I've been single for 4 years now, right? Playing the market, doing all these things, and I've had to say no to a lot of relationships,
right?
Outright dodge them or push them away out of my life, like get away, get out.
Yep.
Because for several reasons, and that can be context specific too. If I know the chick is strictly a fuck buddy and she ain't never getting past that, and she don't know that,
right?
But also in the meantime, what I've done for sport is I've actually fucked a lot of sugar babies for free. It's called salt dating. It's salt babies. They don't get the sugar, but they get the salt. There's a book on it. One of our attendees wrote a book on it called Salty. Oh, it's hysterical. Yeah. I met him at the convention. I don't know where the fuck it's at. I think it's upstairs. It's a dope book.
So you get the sugar baby without it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Especially if you're young and put together.
Yeah. Well,
they think you're like Christian Grey. You make your basically. I learned it from actually a fitness speaker we had, like a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So I was actually not introduced to it through the book. It was just a fitness guy. He used to do it himself.
Okay.
But then he got married with another chick and got out of it. But he's like, look, man, you got to try this. And I'm like, why the fuck would I do that? That sounds ridiculous.
Right.
I can go to a bar, I can go on Tinder, you know, whatever. He's
Right.
like, no, man, you got to do it.
Yeah.
So these girls are mad hoes, but they're hot. And it's really funny too. It's like justice. Like I see it as like justice, basically.
Okay.
They're manipulators, right? They're absolute manipulators. So you're manipulating the manipulator.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that's good weaponization of the system. And I think, again, if you're a younger guy and you are put together, you could probably, because these girls are selling to 35 and up, right? This is who they're selling to. And yeah, for sure, they'll bang somebody that's 28 and put together, right?
Yeah.
I can see that. You're getting it for free, what she's making other guys pay for. But that's not unlike women who and date now. They're giving it away for free to these guys. And then they'll find a simp to pay for everything that she's then give away for free. And here's the kicker, gentlemen. If you're still believing in marriage, and I'm busting your marital bubble here, your woman has been defiled in ways that you will never defile her in your marriage. This is the reality of the situation. She just caught things on her face. She done been entered and penetrated from every angle that you will never experience in your marital missionary sexual position. Just know that. All right. Just had to get that out. Just for guys need to know. Guys need to know. They intend to marry an individual and get off of that carousel. They're done with all of that. They've had all of that. They've been washed. They've been sprinkled. They collected all the DNA that they possibly can. Now they want you to give her some missionary love and some passion, and she'll give that to you. She'll siphon it off as the relationship goes on. And people think I'm lying about this. Look it up for yourselves, guys. I'm not making any of this up. Most of the divorces that go to the court, first thing is Tinder. Online is an influence. And then the second thing is there's the sex. Then the third thing is the money's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to say with that. I don't know. It's a whole fucking, I'm just thinking through, it's making me think of all the sugar dating bullshit I've done with these chicks. I know, that's what I was going to say. We got a comment on YouTube last night. That's what I was thinking about. It was a comment on one of our videos last night. I forget which video it was on our channel. But basically, he was saying that the only guy in history who's been successful turning a hoe into a housewife was Jesus with Mary Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene.
Yeah. So it can be done, I guess, if you're the son of God. But other than that, good luck.
No, man, it's not going to happen. But see, here's the thing. This is one of the things with feminism where we talk about this whole sexual liberation thing. Yeah. At first, for men, this was a great benefit because we're like, oh, okay, this is more on the marketplace for us. It made it easier for us to do it. But what the backdrop was, we didn't have to get married to do it. Now, what women thought, and they make mistakes thinking. This is where you make the mistake, women, when you start thinking. What women thought was that they can have all this sexual experience and then enter the marital marketplace whenever they thought that it was advantageous for them to do so. This is what they thought would happen. Yes, I'm sexually liberated. Now, once I get ready to settle down, I would just marry a guy and he's just going to be there. Then what happened was they weren't there. And then they went, where all the good men go.
Yep.
See, that's where you messed up. And the fact that now we can get, guys, if you're not getting vagina, see, and there's some guys that aren't, and they struggle with this. But I think if you actually made an attempt, you could do it.
Yeah.
You could do it. However, there are some negative things that's going to come as a result of it. And I call it the iceberg principle. Okay. Everything you see up front, their age, their beauty, their attractiveness, that's all up front above the water. Now, once you start getting with them, there's a whole bunch of BS, your BDS, BDP, what do you call it? Borderline personality disorder?
BPD, yeah.
BPD. All of that is below the surface. And this is where men make a mistake. The more they've been defiled, all of that is below the surface.
Yeah, what's above the surface? I like the iceberg principle. It's pretty good. That's just what they want you to see. They're like magicians. Yep. And what's beneath the surface is what they don't want you to see.
Exactly.
But eventually you'll see it because it's going to come out. They can't hide that shit forever.
Can't hide it. And men look past all of that. I mean, how many times you probably counseled many men? They come to you, even they come to my channel because I'm telling you, stay away from them to a certain extent. Just get what you want and leave. They'll still come to me and they'll give me a laundry list of crazy stuff that they're dealing with these women. I'm like, walk.
Get
run,
out. Yeah.
get the hell out of
You
there.
can't have no tolerance for this bullshit, man.
Zero tolerance. All right. The
Yeah.
minute you see it creep out, all right, you tell them, listen, all right, I'm not going to put up with this.
Yep.
For a little while, they'll say, okay, and they'll hide it for just a little bit longer. Now, the minute they want to say, no, you got to take and accept all of this. If you can't take me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. You kick them the hell out of there. Get out.
That's one of the number one verbal signs of a absolute crazy chick. If they write that shit on their Instagram or their Tinder or they say it, get away.
Run.
Yeah.
And
they're like, I can't wait to dump all my crazy on you. It's like, nope, not here.
And guys will still jump on these women. They'll say this on their Instagram and they'll be like, I may be crazy, but my pussy is good. All right. They'll say all kind of crazy stuff and men will see them post this stuff and still get with them. I'm like, that's your fault. I can't.
If you're going to do that, just make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. You're walking into the gates of hell, man. Like these chicks are legitimate, the crazy out of bed, crazy in bed, and vice versa. So it's, I've banged a lot of crazy chicks in my life, man, but
only the most attractive.
Yeah, they got to be very attractive. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The hotness. Yeah, they got to be. If they're not, I bet, dude, on the internet, I don't post pictures of these chicks. I'm not like some fucking. Right. Yeah. There's some guys in the manosphere that do this. I'm like, man, I can't do that, especially now with Make Women Great Again. But I love hot chicks, like really hot, beautiful women, and sometimes they're fucking crazy. And I play my cards like, am I going to do this? Is this a good idea? And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Right.
But I know I know the risk though, and I know how serious it is. I don't have any kids yet, so I've been successful yet in avoiding doing that. I've never gotten legally married. I avoided that even with probably the craziest chick I've ever met. Psychopathic hooker, did all kinds of wild shit well beyond just, hooking. So you make a good point too, though, like you said, with the sugar dating, it's become normalized. I agree. I mean, back when I met her in 2011, so the sugar baby stuff, I wouldn't even know what you were talking about probably.
Right.
And certainly back then there was no apps for it, and Tinder was not even around yet, not till like 2012 or 2013. Yeah. So it's going to become normalized for sure, man. A lot of these girls doing this shit. I mean, the same girls on sugar dating apps that I've seen, like literally seen them on a Tuesday. The next week I'll open up Bumble and I'll see them on Bumble and they say, no hookups, I'm only looking for a long-term relationship. Like it's fucking, or even more, like I'm looking to get married. It's like, wow. Yeah. This girl's looking to sell vagina for cash on one app. On her phone. She'll then close the app, open up Bumble, and write all this other bullshit that is completely, severely contradictory. She's literally a hooker and then wants to get wifed up at 27 years old.
Well, that stuff will red pill you fast, and I've done the same thing when I was out there. Just having
a fucking hat on your head is what it'll do, man.
Yeah, it would. I've seen the same women that will say no hookups. First date, all right, first date, they're hooking up, and you're like, I can't believe this is progressing the way it is because you just said on the app that there's no hookup. See, when you've done this so many times, you're like, man, I mean, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help you, but you guys keep digging yourselves a hole at the end of the day. So you can't believe anything a woman says, all right? Every time she opens her mouth, she's lying. And the reason why, and if women are watching this, the reason why you do this is because this is how you survive. This is how your manipulation is your number one way of survival. Just like we have to go out there and use our bodies, you use your tongue to survive. And if you didn't have that, you wouldn't even be here as a species right now because everybody would just lie down with you and then extract you from their lives. So you have to convince men to keep you around longer. The way you do that is lie to them. All right. Or manipulate. We'll call it manipulate because they'll say, we don't lie. We lie by omission, which is manipulation. So,
Yep. Yeah. With, I was going to say with that, I had somewhere I wanted to take that. I can't think of it right now. Let's get into your book, actually. Let's do that. Let's get into that. You did. So no, wait, hang on. You did say though that women are always lying if they open their mouths.
Yeah.
I like the sentiment. I don't know if I agree 100%, but I will say that when women open their mouths on whether they're typing or talking, they're broadcasting, they're communicating. Right. Whether it's honest or whether we would view it as dishonest is a much different story. But like the no hookup, and anytime a girl says no hookups on her Instagram or Tinder or Bumble or whatever, I know immediately that she wants to hook up. She's broadcasting. This is basically what she's broadcasting. Now it's bullshit, right? And you can call it a lie, but to me it's like, oh, there's signaling for chads to see through that bullshit and then fuck the shit out of them immediately. So that's
manipulation tactic, right? So another one that they'll use and that they'll get guys to believe, which is not a lie, but it's a lie at the moment, is I would never do that to you.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
I never do. I never. Do you ever do this? I never do this.
I never do that. I don't know anyone who would ever do that. See, now here's the deal. On face value, it's not a lie, because at that moment, she would never do that to you right now. Okay. We always tell guys, whatever they say, just add right now to the end of it.
Yeah.
I would never do that to you right now. I love you right now. Okay. You're the best lover I've ever had right now. So whatever she's saying at that moment, how she feels, she would never do that to you. Doesn't mean she's never, ever going to do that to you, because when circumstances change, she did it. And you said, I thought you would never do that to me. Well, she lied, but she only lied because it protected, because her security blanket was there. What else is she going to say? I would do that too. Right.
Yeah.
They're not strong enough to ever say that, because men would go running from the hills. So in order for her to keep her security, she has to say, I would never do that. But then you find out later she did it. Right.
Yeah, of course. So the minute they say that, it's like, oh yeah, she's done this a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. And she knows people who do it, and she defends people. Or another one, if my man was cheating, or if I found out my friend's boyfriend was cheating, I would X, Y, and Z. Right. She would say, I would blow it up. I would do all of this stuff. And at the end of the day, when her female friend cheats on her boyfriend, she's button. Yep. She doesn't say anything. So,
I've seen some really fucked up examples of that, man, with girls and guys I knew, growing up in childhood, and girls knew shit about, one of my friends' girlfriends. She cheated. They said nothing to him, and they knew him for a decade before they knew
him longer than the girl, right?
A decade longer than the girl. They grew up together in school.
Yep.
Yeah. The sisterhood, man. The sisterhood. It's fucking nuts, man. Yeah, the level of collective effort they put to work together at a very low key is just amazing. You got to admire it. Like, holy fuck, they really got this shit put together.
I wish men would do it, and this is what we're telling men. Look, because again, I talk about the white knight syndrome, the fact that they know that they got to get some peace leave vagina on the back end. We fracture at the littlest thing, even within the manosphere. Yeah. Just because we say, all right, you should pet peace leave. This is how it goes. This group is saying you should pet peace leave like this, backhand it. This group is saying run away from it. And then we fracture over that. And women over here staying over here going, look at these fools, right? So, the fact that we can fracture so fast over vagina, and that fact that they can stay as a collective, it ruins us. It ruins our power at the end of the day.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you something. I don't know if you still have it on your channel. If you don't mind, here it is. Yeah, if you don't mind getting into it. Mm-hmm. So a few months ago, you had a video. I was very supportive of it for obvious reasons. But you had a video that was very critical of Richard Cooper,
right?
Who's a former panelist on the show and one of the founders. He's now gone. Yeah. I bought him out a long time ago. Okay. But what was some of the beef with that, if you don't mind me asking? Just from your perspective, because I have my own serious criticisms of this guy.
Yeah. And again, I was just talking about the fracturing of the manosphere. Sometimes what happens is one particular group of a manosphere might feel they're more dominant because they treat vagina a certain way, right? They'll go, you treat vagina like this, so we're going to declassify you, and we're going to pump ourselves up because we treat vagina like this. This is what it all breaks and boils down to. So what happens is when one group attacks another group on their social media platform, and I say it's uncalled for, I feel like, you know what, like, why are we going like this? Why are we doing this? And at one point, I think he blocked me or something like that, but I used to see his tweets, and he was doing this. And I said, listen, a lot of people in your following, not all, maybe 10% are under this philosophy. And I think it would be better suited that you don't do this. That's basically what my angle was. And I don't think he knew who I was. And maybe I only had 50,000 subscribers at that point. He kind of was like, do you bang dolls? Like, that was his approach to me.
Wow.
And so I'm sitting here going, all right, so he doesn't know who I am. And I wouldn't have expected him to know who I am. But the problem with that is I have an audience. And a lot of people that you reply to on your social media, you might not know that they're growing. And he didn't know who I was. He probably didn't care to know. And I don't care if he did know. But I have 50,000 subscribers. So now I have an audience of men who watched your stuff and my stuff. Yeah. So now I get to say, okay, you're going to treat me like that? You're going to kick dirt on me like that? Like I'm nobody. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. I'm gonna go ahead and break down your stuff.
This is exactly how he treats people too, by the way, man. You're not wrong. Even at face value, I know for a fact this is how he operates. So.
Right. So, at the end of the day, I said what I said, and I try to not get into these type of beefs, because people can break down my stuff and they can make all the videos that they want on my stuff, but I'll try to keep the manosphere together. And I was conflicted on whether to make the video, because I'm not trying to be out here making beefs.
Yeah.
But
I feel you, man. I feel you.
But at the end of the day, I'm like, you don't kick dirt on me and not realize who you're kicking dirt on. This is where men make mistakes. Men do this, and this is a good lesson for him. It was a good lesson for me. You can't go out there and thump your chest because your following's big, and then at the end of the day, you don't know who you thumped on. Because, guys, listen, we educate men on this one. You keep going out there doing that, you might lose something more than a little bit of your following. You might lose your life going out here doing this. So you can't follow men who dump on other men, or you can't go out there and dump on other men and expect nothing in return. You have to. I don't care how many push-ups you've been doing lately. You have to make sure you do this carefully. There are a lot of men who have a vested interest in what you're doing here. And I support the guy. I don't agree with everything, but I don't agree with everything on, that everybody says. He's done good for a lot of men, but at the end of the day, you can't dump on me and expect me not to dump back.
Yeah, exactly. I got to say, I do like men sticking together. I think the manosphere in particular should. So I get that angle, what you're saying.
Yeah.
At the same time, I do think from time to time it's necessary to criticize people if they deserve it, especially if they unprovoked attack you.
Right.
Or I like to say, take out the trash. And sometimes that shit's got to get done, man. It ain't pretty. It kind of smells, but somebody's got to do it. I went 13 years without having any serious fights with 150 speakers. None. Right. But shit popped off last year, and shit got real.
Right.
There was memes where heads are getting chopped off.
Well, people have to understand that it's a business. They may not intend it to be a business. At some point, you're doing it to help men, but then it becomes business. But when business is involved, it has nothing to do with this manosphere stuff. All right. So when business starts being handled or mishandled, we got to handle this like business. At the end of the day, you can't come into it and try to get on top of my money. I want to tell people who look at that and said he was trying to take shots at somebody that had a bigger following. And that wasn't the case. I never monetized the video. I intentionally took the monetization off of that video. All right. So it wouldn't be one of these things that like, oh, he's trying to attack his audience and claim his audience. It was none of that. All right. I just was like, look, here's the things that you have to watch out for, men. And on the business aspect, all right, two men that are trying to do business, it's important that we come and approach this in the business aspect, or a business with business knowledge and acumen, and not try to be this whole facade of masculinity. This is business. Has nothing to do with masculinity. I'm better than you, bigger than you. My audience is bigger. Has nothing to do with that. And on the business end, he made a mistake.
Yeah.
Right. He made a mistake. And the mistake was know thy enemy. All right. Or know who you're talking to. There's a whole bunch of lessons in that. All right.
In my case, he attacked me in public. He attacked the safety of my convention. The hotels almost sued him for this shit, man. They were pissed. Like these are major hotels we do events at. They're not unsafe any more than any other major 4-star hotel is. These are billion-dollar companies, man. He's saying people are gonna get shot at these events and shit. It's like, yo,
well, yeah,
that caused problems. That was fucked up. I never seen a speaker do that. That was nuts.
Oh, he did it on live?
Yeah, he did it on his channel.
I don't know the whole story around it. So he did this live?
Yeah, about a year ago. That video is still on his channel. It's got 40,000 views. He says he drops out of the Patriarch convention, the first one we had later that year. And he says the convention is unsafe. He doesn't feel safe at it. He's worried he's going to get shot or some bullshit. All this bullshit. Like, this is total nonsense, dude. Like, no one ever uses it, but dude, we have body armor for speakers. I hire professional security, licensed security by the state of Florida. We hire cops, dude. We have sheriff's deputies work the event in uniform. Right. The idea that our events are unsafe is delusional. We take excessive measures for safety that have never been put into question. Right. So it was all, I think there was, DDJ, and I talked about it later, but there was nefarious reasons he did this. Okay. But that shit was nuts, man. Both fan bases were really shocked by that. Right. That a big speaker would just pop off that the event's unsafe and I'm leaving and fuck Anthony.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that shit pissed me off. I fired back a video immediately, kind of like you did.
Right.
I'm like, fuck you, man. Unsafe. Right.
I mean, I look at it like this, man. And for men who are trying to take sides, I can't help it. People are going to take their sides, but I want you to listen to this, guys. If you've been doing this for 12, 13 years. This is a young man. All right. By all definitions, a 31-year-old man is young. Okay. This is your life is just starting, gentlemen, at age 30. For a young man to be pulling this stuff off is not by happenstance. It takes a lot of effort to pull off these events, get speakers, organize it, finance it. You probably have to put up money up front before the money comes in. Guys, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this. Now, if anybody tries to attack it or discredit it, it's only right that a business owner protect his business interests first, not concerned about the manosphere. You got to protect your business interest first. But I tell you guys, there's a lot of 31-year-old guys that don't even know what to do with their lives today. Yeah. Right. We want you to be better. And this guy is doing something that I couldn't even pull off right now. All right. And I have a pretty big following. I couldn't even begin to pull off something like this. I'm trying to do a book tour on the 2 books that I wrote. All right. And it's difficult for me to even put myself in a situation where I'm protected and then gather individuals who are perfect strangers, internet followers to this. It's difficult. So this guy's doing this all before the age of 35. And it's remarkable. Whether you agree with him or not, it's a good example to follow. Listen, he's the only one that's doing it right now in the manosphere.
Yep.
The only one who is doing this. Some of you guys got 200,000 followers and can't pull this off. All right. You can't do it. So at the end of the day, for men who are looking to aspire to be something better, this is a good example of doing it. I don't care if you agree with him or not. This is a good example of somebody that could do something like this.
Thanks, man.
And people are playing video games right now, right?
Yeah, it's results, man. Yeah, it's putting your money where your mouth is.
Thanks, man. Right. Yep.
Yeah, I've been doing it. I'm the only one doing it, at the scale in the manosphere. There's a little other meetups and stuff sometimes, but no one puts on like a TED Talk conference like this to organize a lot of speakers,
right,
who are otherwise not connected. You guys are, maybe fellow YouTubers or something, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing to put together, man. I've been doing it too, the longest in the history of the manosphere by far. Every other event, there's been other events at times, Cliff's List, the dating conference, PUA Summit back in the day. All these events, they get started and they die off. They go for like 2, 3, 4, 5 years and they fall off, or even shorter, like 2 years.
Right.
And yeah, I've been doing it now for almost 14 years as of this July.
And it's difficult to pull off in the fact that you're not even the marquee speaker, right? You're not even making yourself the top person. You're actually, I mean, just think about this, gentleman. He's putting this on and saying, I'm not the main guy. All right. You're not going to hear from me. You're going to hear from other men who have bigger followings than me. All right. To me, man, I mean, again, people might disagree with you, but I'm looking at it going, I couldn't even do this right now. And I have a medium-sized following. And I don't even know if I would do it because I'm trying to be the marquee person, right? Yeah. A lot of times that gets in the way of you actually succeeding when you're trying to be the marquee.
I agree.
And put it on. It
in the early years, I used to, I don't know if I was the marquee speaker, but I was more prevalent as a speaker, and I was doing coaching for guys.
Right.
And I realized about the second or third year into the conference, I was like, I need to stop doing that.
Right.
It's too competitive with the speakers. It's too similar. And I was like, what's more important to me, the coaching or building the conference of these coaches and these speakers?
Right.
And I was like, it's the coaching of the speakers and putting together the conference is what's really important to me. Not just important, but I think it's where the uniqueness and the magic's at. Because no one else is doing that. Shit's hard as fuck, and no one else is doing it.
No one else
back then, in the between then and now.
Right.
And there's a lot of power in it, man. Because all of you guys are, you have mid-level. Some of the speakers are huge. Stefan Molyneux, Elliot Hulse got millions.
Yeah.
But then even there's mid-level speakers like you and George Bruno and stuff. You guys get 80,000, 140,000.
Yep.
When I get 20 of you guys together, that's fucking threatening. That's another reason I think 22 Convention is so threatening. Is it's not just me popping off for a weekend about women. It's not just, you have a good book I want to read now, De-Evolution, we're going to get into in a second, but it's not just one book and one speaker and one speech or one dude. It's a lot of them.
Yes.
And
that's threatening. That's threatening. And when people look at all of these men and they go, this guy, I mean, Stefan Molyneux by itself would be an attraction, but then you bring in guys that are just as big and as strong. And I think, I've never spoke at any of these things, but I talked to, I think George Bruno, and he talked about there's massive egos, and rightly so, of these men in one place. You look at the names of the people, I mean, by themselves, would attract a good audience. Now you're bringing all of these guys in here, and these egos are putting this all aside for these men, right?
Yeah, for a mission, man, for a cause.
For the cause. So they're not trying there. I mean, you're there to promote yourself, honestly, but you're not there to take over. And this is where things could go left, is when a man comes in and tries to take over this and be bigger than this. All right.
That's what I had to deal with. That's what I had to deal with last year.
Okay, so men, we all have egos. We could easily be like, I'm going to try to do this too. All right. Or I'm going to try to take this audience. That's where it can make a mistake. And that's where men lose. So it's good to see men of this caliber all share the same stage, promote themselves in between. But the greater mission is to help men with whatever message they have. Okay. Whatever the message is, just to help men.
You know, that's what a lot of the attendees, I think, don't even realize. Like, we have obviously the conference has tickets, the regular tickets, the VIP, and then the volunteer ones too for the volunteer dudes.
Right.
We take usually like half a dozen to 10. But at the end of the day, all the tickets are funding the conference itself, which we do a lot of filming at. And then the filming produces the speeches that go viral. So it's viral media creation. So these dudes who attend, they benefit by attending. Like, they learn from the conference. We have workshops, and they talk to the speakers, man. Most speakers are there for like 3-4 days. They talk to them like the whole time. It's crazy.
All right. That's good.
Yeah. Dude, coaching with Elliot Hulse, if you could even get it, would cost like, thousands. Right. He'll talk to you for 20-30 minutes on the side for free. Do like whatever you want to know. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. So it's worth the price for whatever that man's searching for.
Yeah. But beyond that, man, what they don't realize, and what I probably need to market better, is that you're funding the creation of viral media that helps millions of men.
Right.
And not just, men, but now women too. We're going to teach them how to be great again. Quit being thoughts. The thought apocalypse. The thought apocalypse is coming to an end. Yeah, it's got to happen. Man, I love, like you, I think I see you as a patriot just talking to you. I can feel it. Like, I love my country. I don't want to see it fall apart and die.
Exactly.
And I think, women being driven off a cliff, and men too, man, through all the crap we see. It's bad, man. It's real bad.
And I think, I look, the whole patriot thing, we're trying to speak out now in order to prevent us from not able to defend it. Right. Yeah. At some point, it's going to be a burning fireball. All right. And we're trying to speak out now to say, look, it's burning. All right. They're going to ignite the fuse in any second now. And if you keep going this way, keep blaming men for your failures instead of going, it is us that needs to be corrected. Our course needs to be corrected, not men. Yeah. Then we would actually be able to benefit. But they don't even want to come to the table now, guys. They don't even. That's right. This is how bad they are right now.
Yep. Now, I think men and women both have been lied to by feminism. Yes. But men are trying to do something about it with the manosphere. That's important. And with women, they got nothing. They're not doing anything. There's little YouTube channels and stuff, but they're very disorganized and small. They're pushing back against it. Yep. They get nowhere. They get nowhere with it. They get shouted down. Yep. But yeah, they need change, man. They need to look at themselves in the mirror as half the country and fucking change. And they don't want to hear that. And as a man, I get screamed at for even suggesting that. We get screamed at both for even suggesting that's a possibility. Never mind writing a whole book on it like you have here. Yeah. De-evolution, feminism's reverse engineering of American women. Yeah. I love the cover too, the apple and shit. This is great. Yeah. Look at this look in her eye.
Yeah, that's the satanic look that men all get. We get that, whether they are desiring us sexually or whether they're, going to be our enemy. They all give us that look at some point. Yeah. As they're devouring the apple.
Talk to me about the book, man. Well, this came out more recently. A few months ago.
Came out, I want to say, just a little over a month ago. This is the second book. So, this is the book that I put out. So it was me basically going, again, as a history buff. I talked about this earlier, trying to break down the history of this. So guys that are 25 to 35 or women who don't know history, they believe this is how it is. This is how the direction of things are going. This is progress, et cetera, et cetera. I try to take you back, not to the 50s, not to the people. Everybody's like, this is the 50s. I take you back historically and legally to look and say, this is how we got here. We got through here through legislation and through design. They want this to be intended to break down the family, to make women producers in the economy because they need to be taken care of. And this decline in relationships and marriage is all tied through legislation. Okay. Yeah. So this is all reverse engineering. This is by intent to help.
An example of that would be no fault marriage, right? From the 80s.
Yeah. The no fault divorce in the 80s, even the
divorce.
Even the Equal Rights Act. All right. Which kind of reared its ugly head recently. that the 38 state ratified it, which now staunch feminists from back then are saying, no, we don't want this now, right?
Yep.
This is the whole crazy historical science, mad scientist that's going in our country, but people don't realize it because they just hate history. Not only do they hate history, they hate science. They're trying to tell us now as men to value a 38-year-old woman who has been riding a cock carousel for 20 plus years with an advantage. Now, when she's trying to decline and dip, we need to jump on her and push out babies. All right. This is ridiculous on its face, but you will have white knight men come and defend it. I like older women. All right. Look, you can like older women, but you can't ignore science, ignore history, and think that these women have value. They have none. They're left over. I
want to be clear too. In my opinion, when I hear that shit too from these white knights and shit, these Vichy males,
right?
That's bullshit. Like 98% of the time, and the other 1%, the other one, yeah, they like older women. Yeah, it's BS. Right. And then the other 1% of the time, it's just like legitimately unresolved mommy issues. Right. And then the other 1% of the time, I guess it's legit. I mean, there's got to be dudes who just prefer this.
No, they've jacked off too much granny porn. So, and I think the whole MILF Society promotion, the whole MILF, remember in the 90s where MILF came out in that American Pie movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Listen, this whole feminism thing is what I call a drip campaign. Okay. It's a drip campaign. And I got that from real estate. When I was doing real estate, I said into the seminar and they say drip campaign, just send email after email after email after email. And in 2 years, they'll become your client. Right? Instead of hitting them up once for a sale and they go, no, I don't want you. And then you're done with them. So feminism over their 30, 40 years has dripped enough. And you barely even noticed. And it just drips on your head. And after 30 years, it's all seeped into your skull. So you believe MILFs have value. Sure, you can bone a MILF. You don't marry a MILF. All right. You just don't. It's just ridiculous on its face. So you've been drip campaigned your whole life, your whole adult life. You don't realize it. And the fact that you're so ignorant of history and science and you don't legitimize it, you never go back and go, this is ridiculous.
Man, I've met young feminists my age that legitimately don't even know that men are subject to a draft today through the selective service. They literally don't. They honest to God they didn't fucking know that. I'm like, yeah, you have a brother and a father, right? And like, yeah, it's like, yeah, they're both at some point were or currently are subject to a draft if World War III kicks off tomorrow, and you're not. And yet we both vote for a president, like who's the commander in chief of the military. I'm not saying women shouldn't vote, but I'm saying that's severely fucking unequal and explicit and obvious.
On face value, you have the right to vote. From day one, and there were men who were against this, and many women would say, or feminists would say, they're against us having our right to vote. No. They were against you having the right to vote by putting nothing on the line. No skin in the game.
That's right.
You will drip no blood at any point. That's what they were against.
Dude, there were women back then, the anti-suffragists, these women that didn't want to vote because they thought they would get drafted. They really believed that. They're like, I don't fucking want to deal with it.
So they took that part out and they were like, well, what about this caveat? Right?
Yeah.
And then they were like,
well, the feminists got them. They're like, oh, we'll have her cake and eat it too. We'll get both. We'll get all the authority and none of the responsibility.
Yeah. And for men, guys, young guys, you're listening to this and you're like, oh, what's this old man talking about? The reality is I want it equal. If it's going to be equal, let it be equal. All right. This is the whole book process.
Very equal.
I want it equal down to the line. So when you see a woman get decked on the subway, step over her body. That's where I'm going with it. Step over her. Don't defend her. Don't start beating the guy. This is where I want it to go, because if you want it, if you say you want it, you got to drip blood. You got to sacrifice. You got to risk. You got to have accountability, responsibility. And then what we do as men, the white knights, we say, yes, they're equal, but you defend them at every turn when they get into these situations, these I Love Lucy situations. If you ever watch the show, she's a harebrained redhead. She would get into all kind of trouble and the man would have to come in and save them. Listen, I'm not coming in to save because I want you to live equally. Now, here's the white elephant in the room, gentlemen, because people will say, well, you're a black guy. And then what about this white guy and black? They'll try to inject race in it to create further division.
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, you had it bad too. If you want to go backwards, you'll be in a backward situation too. Now, listen, men have always fought, whether they were black or white, for this country. Okay. They have always had to fight. The men, not the women. So when you try to create further division and bring in race and this is a white person's problem and the black person, what you're doing is you're further dividing us into smaller chunks in manhood, and that benefits nobody but feminism. Yeah. All right. I'm not going to chop up the group based on race. All right. Or if your preference of who you date. We ain't going to chop it up like that. And I don't chop it up like that on my channel. I don't speak to just black men. I speak to men.
Me too.
Because men need to be united.
That's
I don't care who you put your baloney pony in. I don't care if you throw it down the gutter. All right. The issue is with men. It is not with black man versus white man. You could do it all day long. You ain't going to get nowhere. All right. But we're having an issue in our society because of feminism. It's one of the catalysts. It's one of the major catalysts to this disenfranchisement of men. It's feminism.
Yeah, I would say it's the biggest and the most major. Yeah, there's other ones too, but it's fucking huge.
Yeah,
I agree with you strongly, man. With 21 Convention too, it's not. We have a coalition, so to speak, of races and faiths and stuff. There's all kinds of guys who speak at it: black, white, Hispanic, Jewish, whatever.
Yep. And
it's amazing, man. And we come together for a common cause, and that cause is for men and for fathers, and even to an extent, the issues that young boys face, because boys are getting, young men, young males basically getting shit on too. Whether they're being harassed, sexually harassed by their teachers or just treated like defective girls or whatever. Yeah, it's a shit show. But commonly we all share the same issues: white, black, Asian, whatever, man.
Yep.
Yeah, if you want to have a family, if you want to have a relationship with women, if you want to have children, like these are all issues men face. Yeah. Regardless of what you look like or what you believe.
You got to go through the same line. You go to get your marriage license, you go through the same line. All right. That the white man is the Chinese man. You go through the same line. And
you
then
you go to a family court, divorce court, you're all getting fucked equally.
Exactly. You all getting bent over. They don't ask you race. They don't ask you if you loved her. They don't ask you if she loved you. They just say bend over. All right. That's what we're trying to work against.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
And that's funny because we got called with 22 Convention, the women's one, we got called like racist and shit, which is delusional. We got like 3 black speakers or 4 now with you.
Yeah.
We got obviously white guys, we got like Jewish guys, we got Hispanic guys. Like this shit is ridiculous. It's like, what are you even looking at? I mean, it's not even plausible. It's fucking stupid.
Exactly. Well, if you think about it, they have no way to attack it but to attack it with which they normally attack things.
Yeah.
Racist, sexist, and they throw these buzzwords out to try to discredit it. I think people are becoming more smart, not just red pill men, blue pill men, or people who live in the matrix, wherever you want to say. Normies, okay, normies. They're even becoming a little more they can see some of these things happening. Even with the election of Trump, I always go back in and black people get mad. How can you support Trump? I was like, I wasn't electing a feminist into office. That's just the bottom line. I don't care who the other person was on the other side. But even down to that election, they'll throw these things out here with no proof.
Yeah.
There's no proof. There's no proof that you have a racist organization going on. In fact, the proof is to the opposite of that. They'll still use it to attack it.
Well, it's like they're crying wolf, and that's what I think is penetrating to the American public. They cry this bullshit. So everyone's racist, everyone's sexist, everyone's misogynist, everyone's a homophobe, everyone's a transphobe, everyone's a fucking Islamophobe. It's on and on and on and on and on. It's like you cry that shit enough, and people stop listening to you because they know it becomes very obvious you're full of shit. Like. Yeah, get out of here.
We're desensitized to. We're desensitized to.
Yeah,
it.
that too. Yeah,
we're like, they call me a misogynist. I'm like, really? I've been called worse. All right. I mean, he's bitter. He's a misogynist. He's a sexist. Okay, now what? Now you have to deal with the rest. What do we got?
Yeah, you done? Are you done? Screaming. Shut up now and actually have an argument, or just gonna keep bitching into the nether? Yeah. You mentioned Trump. It's interesting. I found out recently. I wasn't too surprised, but it made a lot of sense. A couple of years ago, I don't know if it was during 2015 when he was campaigning, or maybe even before that. He's actually on record on an interview for a magazine saying that he's not a feminist, which, surprise, no
right.
But he actually said that. So he's not saying he's an anti-feminist, although I do suspect he doesn't like it. He hates it probably.
Right.
Because he's got to see the bullshit that it is. This is fucking ridiculous.
Right.
But as a billionaire and now as a president, I think he's basically pushed his position on feminism as far as he possibly could in his position by saying he's not a feminist.
Right.
Like that's not acceptable in mainstream culture, but he's pushed it. Well, I guess it just barely is. The strength in his position now.
Well, he can outright say he is anti-feminist, but that would really put him in a lot more trouble. But I look at some of the things that he's done. It's actually been more fair and balanced on racial lines and on gender lines than some of the other presidents who pushed way over here. All right. Like Obama pushed the whole gay and transgender or lesbian way over here to the point where it's now disenfranchising 12-year-old boys. Now they have to go in here. They're trying to explain their sexuality at 12. Like, do you remember what you were doing at 12? We weren't figuring out our gender, but now professional athletes are saying, oh, my son's figuring out his gender at 12. Ridiculous. So I look at his presidency as probably the most balanced, because when you try to throw in racism, sexism, what typically happens is you can pull up examples. Trump sent in all of this money for historically black colleges and universities.
I saw that.
I didn't see Obama do it. I didn't see even the president before him, Bush, do that. I didn't see any of these people do that, yet he's doing it. And here's the deal. If you're older like me, Trump and the black community was like the person you aim to be. All right. In a lot of the rap lyrics, there were a lot of references, positive references to Donald Trump. He was closely linked to boxing and Mike Tyson and Don King. A lot of celebrity rappers would take pictures of him. All right. People wanted to associate with Trump. Now I find it odd that here we are 20 years later, and now he's supposed to be the grand wizard of the KKK. I'm like, what happened? As an older man who like history, I'm looking at it like, if you listen to rap in the 90s, they would talk about him positively. I got money like Trump. Blah, blah, blah. There were always lyrics about him. And now he's the grand wizard. Like,
now he's the devil. Yeah,
he's the devil. I'm like, I don't get it, man. I mean, but people don't know history. Again, they ignore history. They don't do research. They look for these things on Instagram and social media, little hits, and they believe them instead of doing their own research.
Yep. We got a super chat question here, but I'm not familiar with it. Daniel A., thank you for the $5. He said, y'all heard about the IG model that shot her boyfriend to death over a heated argument. Her name is Karina Corbalin. These chicks are getting aggressive. You heard of this?
I heard of this. I saw a video yesterday from, I think, Solo TV 84. Shout out to him. I think he covered this, or maybe Jada Black is another guy who does. And I did hear about this. I didn't really, investigate it or anything like that. But
you calling me surprised?
Yeah, I mean, this is what they do.
Yeah.
This is what they do. They'll get away with it. They'll sweep it under the rug. Matter of fact, I didn't hear the media covering this.
Yeah. Yep.
But there's been a male Instagram model or anything like that and shot his girlfriend, we would have heard about it. So, I mean,
I was worried with my divorce with the Medusa chick. I thought for years, probably the first 2 years, I was worried she had enough money from the hooking and shit. I thought she would try to hire somebody to fucking, bust me in the kneecaps or kill me.
Yeah.
When that video came out, she was pissed, man. She still is pissed. Yeah, the speech, it's got 500,000 views, man.
Okay.
She's in it because she was at the people knew her at the conventions, man. She would show up and shit.
Oh yeah, she was there, so she was a part of it and okay.
When I gave the speech, there were dudes in the audience. They were surprised she wasn't. They were like, "Where's Marilee at?" Because they thought she would be there because she was there 2 years ago or something at the recent one before that.
Yep.
So they were surprised. They thought everything was still cool. I was like, "Nah, man. I'm about listen to the speech I'm about to give." And then they were like jaws just dropping. Like you said too earlier about it, a lot of guys related to it. A lot of guys have been through similar stuff. Usually not that nuts, but everyone in the audience can relate. Everyone had a fucked up relationship. Basically, they can relate to it. And like, she did that, or this and that. All the
this
tactics.
Is what drives men in, and what happens is now that we're speaking out against it and we're exposing it, I think this was beneficial to my post-marital life with my ex-wife constantly dragging me to court. Well, then what happened was I built up an audience and I talked about it.
Yeah.
So her response was, I better pull back because now I'm being exposed. So I videoed her. She was trying to prevent me from talking to my son at my daughter's tennis match. And she called the police on me. So I videoed her. Now, when I videoed her, I put her on YouTube and Facebook. And what happened was she took me to court over the video. And he has this YouTube channel. At that time, I might have had 6,000 subscribers, right? So I had just started the channel and that was one of the main videos. Well, the judge was like, the judge didn't care. The judge looked at the paperwork, was like, whatever. So at that point, I was the gloves are off, right? I can expose all of this stuff. And then my following went bang. So now at that point, she's going, now I have to play the background. Yep. I can't keep it antagonizing him anymore because it's making him a best-selling author, right?
Yep.
He actually financed and started my career in this and helping other men.
How dare you use free speech to wake men up? Damn
yeah,
you.
how dare you? How dare you expose me of this? She took me to court with a packet this thick of all of the video. So, like you're saying, I thought at one point she was going to hire a hitman to take me out because she tried everything else.
Yep.
But guess what? If she would have done it, what would have happened? Like if
if you actually failed, you got more famous. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when they fail, we get to talk about it more. And what happened was men had the exact same experience, but were afraid to talk about it.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about it and we're sharing.
Not only were they afraid to talk about it, maybe for good reasons, lose your job, all kinds of shit.
Yes.
Which is ridiculous. You shouldn't lose your job over anything like that.
Right.
But in my case too, it was interesting for me because I wasn't new to it. I already had the platform. When I put that speech out, we had the whole conference for it, I had the film crew, all that shit. So I found myself in a really unique position, almost like a duty or responsibility to speak up on this issue. Because I'm like, how many dudes run a conference where they could speak about this, where it's a fitting topic anyway? Right. And then they're the founders, so no one could silence me, even at a conference level. I don't do that anyway to speakers. Talk about whatever you want.
Right.
But as the founder, I was like, ain't nobody gonna shut me up. Do what the fuck I want.
Exactly.
And then I published that speech about what happened with her, and her face is in it, her name and shit, because everybody knew her.
Yeah.
And that was sent to 120,000 subscribers when that went out.
Okay.
So it was a unique opportunity. I think there's no other video like on the internet that I know of. Usually you just kind of do video blogs, maybe if you had an opportunity to do that about an issue like that, like you did. Right. But putting together a speech on it and shit with a full film crew and all that, and photography and shit, it was dope, dude. It helped a lot of men, man. Half 500,000 almost now.
Yeah, so most men would say, hey, there was some aspect of that, which is good. This is why we're here. I mean, this is why we're here. We're not here to beef against each other. That's not what I want to put out there. You know, I'm not going to agree with everybody on everything, but at the end of the day, men are hurting, and I'll use the hurting word. Men are hurting because they have no one to turn to that will look at their issue and not try to push them back in the room and make it work out. Right. Yeah. And this is what marriage counselors do. This is what the system does. This is what the media says. Oh, she's toxic. Maybe you weren't doing something, or maybe you created it, and they push you back into the toxic relationship, the domestic violence relationship. They push you back into an imbalanced relationship, and they say, you make it work. Stop complaining and screaming. Well, now they have a platform to come to where we go, yo, we get it.
Yep.
We get it. You're not only have a disadvantage in the government's eyes, you have a disadvantage in relationships, and the women know it. They know it.
Yeah, feminism has penetrated every level of society, and I think that's why it's so dangerous, man. It's not just the courts, the family court and divorce court, or even the Me Too stuff. It's the workplace, it's the home, it's the school, it's the university, it's the military, it's like the local government, the county government, the state government. It's fucking everything all the time.
Yep.
99% of the time, you'll get Trump is a major exception to that, being not a feminist.
Right.
And like you said, he what?
He takes it hard every day because of
that. Yeah. I mean, imagine if tomorrow he was like, hey, fuck it, I'm going to be honest. And he said, I'm an anti-feminist. I mean, holy fuck. He could do that. He could do that. Yeah, he might. I don't think do that. For him, it's a question of like, how much heat does he want to take for something else, because he's got so much other shit he's got to balance. Right. I'm actually really happy very happy he's gotten as far as he did, saying he's not a feminist and being the president. We have a not a feminist president. Fuck yeah.
I'm in love with that. I'm in love. See, that on its surface, I'm in love with that because I think for me, as growing up and all of the issues that I faced, the worst of it wasn't racism. It wasn't the police. It wasn't, something else. I couldn't get a job. It has been my relationship with feminist women, or relationship to how women use feminism to their advantage. That has been has had a bigger impact on my life than anything else. And men don't see it. Some people, if they're a minority, they may not see that. Yeah. But if you think about it, single motherism. You think about it, college.
Single motherism. I never heard of that. That's good.
You think about abortion. You think about community relation to laws. You think about the civil rights acts in the code that Lyndon Johnson put in 1965. That's had a way bigger impact on you than any issue.
If I'm not mistaken, too, if I understand it correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but abortion has devastated the Black community worse than any other community.
Yep,
if whites or Asians or whatever.
Margaret Sanger, look up Margaret Sanger. She was intentionally using abortionism to basically put genocide into the Black community to prevent them from procreating. And then you add on the Civil Rights Acts, which rewarded women to remove men from the house for financial means, and women fell for a hook, line, and sinker. Now, if you look at the Black community now, we talked about the single mother rate in the United States. It is now approaching 80% of children are born to unwed mothers. 80%. Now, if you know anything about history, you go back.
In the Black community or in general? You mean?
In the Black community, it's 80%. Okay. Approaching 80%. We're like at 75%, 80%.
Wow.
You can go to Detroit, Michigan, and it's something like 95%. All right.
Wow.
But if you take it back, we were the most married couples. Black men and Black women were most married. We were more likely to be married than white people back in like 1920 and 1930. Like marriage was how we built our community. It was how we survived and were able to protect ourselves from racism, was family. Now they destroyed that, and look at a result. Now, when people bring up why is the Black community a certain way, I'm like, if you don't talk about single mothers, I ain't talking about the discussion. I'm not talking about the rest. I'm not talking about police brutality. I'm not talking about Nazism, KKK. The number one thing I want to get on the table first is single mother rate. If you don't want to deal with that, I'm not discussing racism.
Which is basically just, you're looking at family. You're like, the family's falling apart. Of course, everything else is falling apart. Yeah.
Yeah. How is it going to stay stable? And now you have women further trying to remove men from the family. Forget it. I'm like, I ain't talking about it unless you want to talk about that.
Well, let's talk about MGTOW then, because I mean, that's men going their own way. It sounds like that's what a lot of that is. You know, I've been aware of MGTOW for a long time. I haven't studied it extensively. I know some guys in it, like one of our panelists, DDJ, is a big YouTuber in it. Talk to me about MGTOW for the average guy who doesn't know much about it. Like, for example, are there stages of MGTOW and stuff I've heard of?
Yeah.
Well, you seem different from like a turd flinging monkey or a Sandman, for example.
Right. I think that's led to my popularity, to be honest with you, because you know, I think at some point earlier on with MGTOW videos, a lot of the men had to hide themselves for safety reasons, right? They couldn't just start coming out with this stuff. People would attack them. But when you now have, with MGTOW kind of evolving, you have men that are showing their face. You have Black men. You have men that are semi-attractive, at least, because they want to paint MGTOW guys out holding a doll, right? Holding a sex doll and fat, balding, all right, unattractive, unemployed, living in their mom's basement. This is what they assumed because there was nobody showing themselves. But then the minute the majority of men started showing themselves and they go, well, he ain't bad looking, all right? He ain't that bad, all right? But so now they can't throw those things on top of it. And so this led to my popularity at a time where I started producing the content. They're like, all right, he's showing himself. So what happens with MGTOW, man, and why I tell people, just go your own way. Don't cohabitate. Don't marry. Don't long-term relationship. This basically protects men. And I'm about protecting you before you're out there putting everything on the line for everyone else. It takes their power away. And you know it takes their power away when they try to throw ugly terms at you from merely taking your power and holding it on your own.
Incel, sexist, all this shit,
Yeah, they're like, okay, he's lonely, he's broke, he's hurt, he's bitter, he's a misogynist, he's sexist. They'll roll all of those things out, and I say, now deal with the facts that I just presented in front of you. The marital rate is low. The divorce rate is high. What do you want to do with that?
Yeah, single mothers skyrocketing, the thoughterry, the partner counts.
The partner count, yes. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So on face value, what I tell men to do is go your own way. Now, when you go your own way, even in MGTOW, the philosophy, there's splinter groups in there, right? There's people that say, I'm a monk. There's no dealing with women. There's guys that say, okay, I will just pump and dump. I'll just use them and then drop them. So even in the group, there's a philosophical difference. And then you get called names for being anything under that rainbow. Oh, you're not really MGTOW. You were sent your own way, right? If you got divorced. There's still some disagreements in it. But at the end of the day, what I try to tell men, even if you have a shaded rainbow of MGTOW, it's better than the opposite, right? It's better than being a blue pill, beta male, white knight, mangina monkey.
This is what I've been, I've been a much larger part of the pickup community and the red pill community, so to speak. And I've been saying for a long time, because there's a lot of, there can be infighting in the manosphere, obviously, between these different communities. For me, it's all the same umbrella, but it's all, I see the fighting and stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
But I've been saying it for a while, even for the guys who are more critical in MGTOW, I'm like, dude, that it's way better that dudes go their own way
Yeah.
than blue pill and they get fucking sucked into a lifetime of misery through divorce court and family court and child custody battles and alimony payments and child support, which is basically more alimony payments, which you can fucking go to jail for not paying. And it's like, I'd much rather see this dude, go to Colombia once a year, bang some chicks, and go back to America and work some job or some business he's building and just do his own fucking thing and not get sucked into a system that's very, very hostile to him. By a mere fact of just having a pair of balls and a Y chromosome.
That's it.
Like, yeah.
And so if you look at it, why would I be critical? I think, again, me not being critical of men has allowed more men to come into my manosphere. What happens is sometimes MGTOW, red pill men who are PUAs, they shut off so many people and they corner themselves. This is what feminists do. This is what women do. They corner themselves into the corner. They paint themselves into the corner, and then they can't explode. They can't expand because you just cut off so many of the audience. Well, I'm sympathetic to a man that says, okay, I don't believe in marriage, but I'll date casually. I don't believe in marriage, but I want it, whatever the rainbow is, I'm sympathetic to you because it's difficult for you to just say no women at all. That's right there is the most difficult decision that you will ever make.
Well, these are all risk management options is what guys are taking.
Exactly.
And I think it's, and some guys go super hardcore and some guys don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
like, I'm aware of it. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say the point that you made was if you don't take this option and you push men back out there, it hurts more men to go out there and keep participating in the system, right?
That's right.
So it hurts not only you, it hurts everybody else because now we cannot progress forward if you keep going out there getting married and going, these guys are doll bangers. All right.
They're also feeding feeding the beast. They're feeding this whole system it's very dysfunctional. Yeah. Yep.
And for guys who are on the fence, I would always tell them, just go to the family court building in your county. It's hidden. It's hidden in plain sight. You won't even know what's going on in there. Go to the family court building. You'll have to go through security. All right. You'll go through security. They probably won't let you in the courtroom, but just sit in the hallway. Okay. And I've been to this building over 100 times. These people once loved each other. This woman once told him, I would never do that to you. These people have children that one's trying to arrest from the other one and prevent them from seeing. These people are fighting over $50. Okay. They're fighting over $50 and they hired an attorney at $850 an hour. Okay. You're going to see so much ridiculousness. And this is.
Oh shit. Looks like we lost Coach Greg. Shit. Let's see if he comes back. Yeah, my internet's fine. Sorry, folks. Let's see. Oh, he's coming back online. Hang on a second, guys. I'm trying to read your comments too, by the way. I do read them as we're going through this while listening. Oh, here he is. He's back.
Yeah. They kicked me off. They didn't like what I was saying.
Yeah, give it a...
Go ahead.
Yeah, dude. Ghost in the machine, man. The feminists are coming for you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to pop up a question here, though, I thought was pretty interesting and relevant to what we're talking about. There's been a lot in the chat, by the way. I appreciate you guys tuning in and, adding that. So this is something I've seen from time to time. I think we should both get into it a little bit. From Rare Grime Beats. Thanks, bro. If you're red-pilled, why would you think Trump isn't controlled? So all of a sudden, voting matters. Before Trump, it didn't matter. Now it does. Laugh my ass off.
Well, sometimes, people are extremely red-pilled, like they go all the way in there. Voting is what it is. You can get into, listen, I've studied politics and all this stuff. It matters to an extent. There are already people who are controllable and all this stuff. And listen, you can get deep into this rabbit hole and go red pill all the way. I just want to listen, I'm not there yet. I'm not promoting that. You can do that all you want and sit and laugh at people who don't get involved in political elements and all that stuff. Listen, in my opinion, Trump was not supposed to be here. Okay. He was not, you could say that there was a puppet pushing him here. He was not supposed to be in the position that he was.
Or it's a psyop or some other bullshit.
Yeah, you can go listen. There's guys that can do that all day long. Don't be on my channel bringing that to here. All right. I ain't going to be red pill like that. I stick to the subject matter. And a lot of people like this try to distract other men. All right. From the real issue. My book is about feminism. All right. We're talking about feminism. You could go talk all that stuff on another one of your conspiracy theory channels all day long. I like conspiracy theories to an extent.
Yeah.
But you want to come in here and start dissecting and dicing all that. Leave this channel, leave my channel all day long. I'm not going to get into it with you on that. See, this is a distraction element. Men like this try to distract you. Again, they want you to dice up your group further over conflicts like this.
Yeah, it's just so specific too. But he's also saying red pill. This sounds more like black pill to me.
Yeah, that sounds like, you want some other element stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, it's, come on. Trump has nearly been impeached and removed from office. Like, obviously, there's some elements in the government and the establishment trying to remove him from office vehemently, constantly, every day of the fucking week.
And you see it. Even down, we saw it with the Russian investigation. We saw it. Now it's the coronavirus. It's his fault. To me, if you're really black pilled and you're going down that element, you would see when there's a systematic approach to remove somebody, deplatform them. They were not intended to be there. There was people who did not want them there. Yep. When Obama was in office, there was a small group of people who didn't want him in there. They had the Tea Party people. They had no legal way to remove him. All right. So they just backed off. That means
they didn't control the media either. They didn't control mainstream media. They didn't control Hollywood. They didn't control, all these billionaires and shit.
Right.
But that's what's been weaponized against Trump. Like major establishments across every domain you can think of, not just politics, not just, he had to overcome the Republican Party establishment, obviously the Democratic machine, the Hillary Clinton machine, the fucking Hollywood. Every Hollywood celebrity fucking hated him.
Yep. When you hear
there's the Never Trumpers. It's like he went up against so much shit. That's what eventually turned me. I was a libertarian.
Right, exactly.
Because I didn't like Gary Johnson very much at all, but I hated the two-party system because voting was, in that context, voting was fucking useless, especially.
And I'm with him on that.
Yeah,
I'm with him on. See, I'm locked step with him. But like you said, when you start seeing stuff, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Well, here's what I saw. I was like, everybody I hate hates this guy. Everybody. I hate CNN. I hate Hollywood. These fucks, these losers, these pedophiles. I hate all these fucking talking heads that tell me what to think. And they all universally hate this guy. I was like, this guy must be amazing. No, I like this guy.
Yeah. Again, it's like the anti-hero. And I was a guy that grew up on like pro wrestling. Okay. And so all the bad guys were the guys that I liked, right? All the people they booed. I was like, something about him, right? He's getting under their skin for some reason. And I liked whatever that was they were getting under their skin. All right. Even though it was theatrics, the idea was, the majority didn't like him, but it was a reason why he was successful. They were trying to remove him because he was a threat to something. And whatever that something was, that
you're breaking up again.
Protecting ultimately wasn't righteousness. What they were protecting wasn't righteousness. It was just a self-serving preservation for themselves, their hero. And that was self-serving to them. It wasn't the hero. Yeah. And again, I was like you. I was watching the election. I was like, what's this vote going to matter? I live in California, so it was going automatically to the Democrat. So I didn't show up. I was the same way. What's my vote going to matter? Okay. But I'm watching the election like, holy shit, right? So, and then when you see it went on, they were like, let's impeach him from the beginning. I was like, that's not right. That's not American. It's not constitutional. Yeah. What they're doing is not right. And when I stand on the side of right or wrong, I don't stand in the middle. I stand on one side or the other. This guy's standing in the middle. He thinks he's a genius with this whole, listen.
Well, I gotta add too, man. He's saying with the voting and stuff, like, I think the reason they're trying to remove Trump from office, there's many reasons, right? Not just one singular. But I think the forces that Trump has opposed, these deep state elements and these establishments, including feminism, including, leftist socialism, all this crap, I think they basically overpower the presidency. This has been libertarians and stuff talk about this for a long time. They overpowered it for not just for years, for decades.
They've always done it.
Yeah, and Obama was just kind of the end result of that, saying he had a pen and a phone or whatever. Like he was the king, he could just do whatever the fuck he wanted. Right. What I think they failed to do, and what I think this commenter doesn't get, is that they overpowered the presidency, and they were just arrogant and always assumed they would have a president that would do what they wanted, a puppet basically, and someone was installed. Right. They fucked up. They didn't seal that off. Trump saw that window. He got in, and now he's doing whatever the fuck he wants.
He's doing what he wants.
Because of the shit they did for decades. They kept giving more and more power to the executive branch, especially to the president. Yeah. Now it's blowing up in their face, and they're freaking the fuck out.
Right, and they did that with the previous person that was in office. They gave him all this power, And now they're trying to remove that. And if you go back to history, listen, I studied history. I looked at how they treated JFK. They treated JFK how they want to treat Trump now, right? But what they did was they dealt with the situation because there was no social media cameras and X, Y, and Z. There were only a few cameras on the scene, and they were like, "This is how we deal with you." They can't do that today, right? So they would get hung up and caught. So they are having to do all of these things. And listen, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you're an anti-voter or a black pill or a red pill. What we're seeing today is what we have to deal with. We have to deal with it. And this systematic tear down of an individual, whether he does any benefit to me or not, is not constitutional. If we allow it, we're basically blowing up the very structure that keeps this country together. I don't care if this was a female in the office, if it was Obama in the office. If we allow our so-called executive leader and the country, if we allow them to blow up and sidestep every amendment in the Constitution, if we allow them to do this, we will have zero rights going forward. None. They'll take everything away. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that for our country. I don't want to see it.
Me neither, man. I like living in a free country. I like having individual rights. Being left the fuck alone.
Exactly. Leave me alone. You're a libertarian. Leave me alone. Yeah. I don't want I don't want Trump at all. Like, I would prefer not to have him either. Right.
Yeah. Libertarian is sort of what I am, I guess. I meant like the Libertarian Party. I'm like, well,
not that
for something. Yeah. At least it's not. But yeah, they've been fucking shitty for a while.
Right.
Yeah. Really, I was a Ron Paul guy, to be honest. I was Ron Paul 2012. Fuck yeah. Yeah. So I never thought, other than Ron Paul, I never thought I'd vote for a Republican in my life until Trump. So,
right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I look at any time because for me, when you tell me I shouldn't have a gun for whatever reason, I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. The Constitution says, and then when they want to say, well, that's old, we want to tear that down. Well, I'm like, well, there's only one step then. Tear it all down. Yeah. Can't tear one part down and then think you're just going to live free. It's over then. It's all over. Yeah. And that's how I stand.
Yeah, it's amazing how much they want to control you. It's like, oh, I want your guns. I'm going to take that, take this, take that. They take your money, take your guns, take your family, take your kids, whatever, man.
What's next? Yeah. What's next? Literally, what's next? I mean, they've taken everything away.
What's next is you. What's next is you. They take you.
Yeah. They'll round you up. They'll round you. They'll round you guys up. And I don't care at that point. Voting means nothing now. It really means nothing because we elected individuals in on the premise of we're going to wipe out all of their mistakes financially. Not only that, we're going to take their guns. We're going to allow them to abort babies left and right. You think it's bad now, gentlemen? You think it's bad now? Just wait until you get into that situation. Yeah. It's going to be anarchy by then. And that's how they want.
As bad as things are, they could get a lot worse. I mean, if Hillary was president, I think it would be a lot worse. A lot of people seem to realize that. Super pro-feminist. She literally said the future is female. I think during the campaign and then right after for a commercial. Yeah, just fucked up shit, man. One thing I wanted to mention on Trump too. I don't know if you saw this a few months ago. He basically it was in the Kavanaugh stuff was going on, right? The Brett Kavanaugh stuff. Right. He was on the White House lawn. The helicopter was buzzing or whatever in the background and shit. And he said explicitly, I'll never forget it. He said it's a scary time in this country to be a young man. He was it's really stood out to me because first of all, he's telling the truth. First of all, how often do you see politicians tell the truth? Second of all, I don't remember the last time in my lifetime I've seen a sitting U.S. president speak positively about young men as a demographic. Right. They almost never talk about them at all, right?
At all. At all. There's no helping them at all.
They call them the youth, but that's like a generic referral to both men and women. He said young man. And I was like, damn right, young man. It's a scary time to be a young man in this country because you get Me Too, you get raped in divorce court, you can lose your kids, you can pay alimony like a slave or child support the rest of your life.
Yes.
And if you don't pay it, you go to jail at gunpoint. Like it's fucking crazy, man.
Well, if you think about
pretty special.
I think that's a great point. I think I think Obama even came out and talked about negatively how men need to step up. All right, how men are, blowing it all up and we need to do all of these things for women. And if you think about this, whatever you think about political power, the ushering in of the LGBT community, a lot of these issues that we're hearing with transgenderism, a lot of these issues,
the alphabet people,
the alphabet soup, this was supposed to go lockstep with Hillary Clinton's election. Okay. It was supposed to be lockstep with that. The person who disrupted that was Trump, because if you think about it, if Hillary was in her chair and you see these ridiculous things go on, they would have voted all of this stuff in, and we would have been, I'm telling you, I think this election set that whole movement back 50 years because we would have been here now. We would have been at, what is it, year 4? It's not even been year 4 now since Trump's been. We would have been there right now with Clinton in the office and all of these ridiculous things that are happening now. I don't know I can't imagine where we would be. Yeah. But the fact that she wasn't in the chair allowed these things to not progress as far, but they still got out, right? Yeah. They still got out of the can. So we're still having to deal with it, but it would have been ridiculous by now. Yeah. Had she been in that chair. And that's how I look at it. I don't care what y'all want to talk about in politics.
All right. The policies, I agree with you 100% this. Yeah. The policies and whatever you agree with, disagree. I don't care either. It's like things would be a lot worse now. When I endorsed Donald Trump right before the election, that was basically what I said. Yep. I said, if you're a man in this country and you care about being a man and having your rights as a man protected or left alone or whatever, like you need to vote Trump. Donald Trump at minimum is not hostile to you as a man or a father. Right. Yep. Hillary Clinton is explicitly. Yes. Like, and that's how simple it is. Like, I'm a young man. I'm looking at men as a demographic. I lead my company and do my thing with 21. I'm like, if you're a man, you got to vote Trump. Like, that's it.
If you would have done this under Hillary's administration, just think about this. And I put this book out, The Evolution of Feminism. Yeah. Neither of these things would have happened. They wouldn't have been able to go on today had Hillary been in the office. This is just how I look at it. I mean, it's just the fact that I think people attack him on that. And they want to use all of these things to divide us and all that stuff. I look at it on the basic principle of I wouldn't have been able to have the voice that I have today. I wouldn't have built up the subscribers. They would have deplatformed me from the day one, and you wouldn't have had your business. There would be no help for men. Hillary Clinton, one of her role models was Margaret Sanger. Look it up. But that was her main role model as a feminist. And if you don't know anything about genocide in the Black community, Margaret Sanger was the genocidal maniac of the Black community, and Hillary Clinton was lock, stock, in step with her. She idolized Margaret Sanger, and so for Black people to be like, "Well, Trump's a racist," I'm like, Clinton would have been triple the racist as Trump, but they don't want to see it as that. I get it.
They don't want to listen. They don't want to.
I don't get it. Yeah, whatever you can do. You can black pill it all day long.
They're like zombies, man. They just want to hear what they want to hear what they already believe. And if you don't have anything to feed that, then they just start screaming at you and say you're racist, sexist, misogynist, and whack job. It's crazy, man. But keep fighting, man. You're right. We still got the platforms, as bad as that shit is sometimes, demonetization, all that. Yeah. We're still online, still kicking, still going.
Yep.
And it sucks. The subscriber counts a lot too. It sucks sometimes, man, when they fuck you like that.
It's terrible, man. I mean, I would be over probably 150, but again, that's just numbers. Yeah. It's just numbers, and I'm not trying to compete against anyone. I want the people that are there to be there.
You compete against yourself. Is that how you view yourself?
Yeah, I compete against myself. It's like, I'm not trying to be the biggest and best. I know I can't do anything because, I have a training business that I run. I train, I do this as a side. And I give it an effort because men want to hear the message. So I do my best to stay consistent, but it's sad when you look at it and go, damn, they really slowed my channel down. They like crippled it. Yeah. And I know they've done that to you and a lot of other men's channels. They cripple it. And to me, it's a testament though. To me, I take pride in it because if they weren't trying to cripple it, that means to them, there's a benefit to my message that they're benefiting from.
Well, they see you as a threat and us too.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. They see it as a threat. And I'd say good.
Yeah,
I think we should be a threat. And I always tell men, build your own channel. You never know. You could be that voice that again gets every other man another full year of listening to somebody that's uncensored.
Yeah. You know what? As bad as censorship can be, you starting your own channel or having an existing one, they have a lot of difficulty stopping word of mouth. And at the end of the day, that's why I think survival is important to get through this nightmare of this Orwellian censorship, this feminist, the fempire that we're kind of, fighting back like rebels right now.
Yep.
You got to survive. And if you do, I think good things will come. And Trump presidency is a good example that if they crack down on the censorship crap and do something about it, which I think is a very real possibility right now. They're certainly aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So survival is key in building an audience during that time.
It is, and I'm starting to now get recognized in public places, and then also I think other people that I know are sharing my channel to other people. And somebody said they bumped into a guy and he brought me up and he was like, oh, I know him. And so when I hear that now, that people who knew me outside of this channel are now meeting people that know my channel, it's, to me, the word of mouth is going to be far more impactful than staying on YouTube and getting subscribers.
Yeah.
When other men start sharing your stuff and start realizing, oh, I follow him too. There was a girl that I knew in Columbus, Ohio, and I make fun of Columbus, Ohio all the time. And she knew me from maybe 10 years ago. And she, I comment on her Instagram post as a friend, and they saw my comment. And they were like, how do you know him? And she was like, yeah, I know him from whatever. And then they were like, oh, that's Coach Greg Adams. She knew nothing about my channel. She didn't know anything. And so when she finally figured out that who I was on YouTube, she was blown away. She was like, what? And of course, then she unfollowed me and blocked me. But, you know, it's one of those interesting dynamics. At that point, I wasn't putting my stuff on Instagram. I was just putting my family stuff. So, you know, once the audience builds up, you'll find out that there's 6 degrees of separation related to this, and more people will share the word of mouth way, and that's going to be way more powerful.
Yep, I agree. And I've had a lot of the same experiences over the years, especially recently doing all that stuff. Make Women Great Again in particular has hit like everybody in the state of Florida, like my age, like everybody fucking knows about it.
Yeah.
And it's gotten so big that a lot of people, like I have friends with girlfriends that'll see it and they'll be like, yo, do you know who's doing that? And they'll be like, these girls will be like, who? And they'll be like, Anthony. And they're like, these girls will be like, fuck Anthony, are you fucking kidding me? Because, you know, they know me from years ago or whatever. And they knew I did the convention, but they didn't, you know, a lot of them were not too into that. It's for men. The girls just didn't care too much about it. But the women thing they get, and they're all sharing that on Facebook, and they were just outraged. It's the latest outrage for them to scream about. But then they knew me from high school or some shit, and they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, how did that happen? You know? But I think that's a power because we start sharing within ourselves first. Because a lot of times when men have problems, they used to go to women to try to solve them. They would share this information with women. I'm having a problem with my girl. She's doing this, she's doing that. And you'll go to a woman because you believe she's going to keep your secret. And then you go to them and they don't protect you. They protect the woman. And then we constantly got in that cycle. Well, we start protecting ourselves and women didn't care. Not until we start cutting into their business. And now you cut into their business. I'm cutting into their business. And now they care.
They're like the mafia, man. They're like, get out of my domain. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, you on my corner. Get up out of here. Yeah. So that's where we are.
I think you're right though, because women have not had. I call Make Women Great Again the first positive counter movement, counter message to feminism.
Right.
And that's actually collaborative. That's public. There's a lot of people involved.
I agree.
And women have had. They don't even have. And we can complain about women all day long that we're justified in doing that in some ways. But the reality is, if you're a young American woman, what the fuck else are you going to do? You have feminism or whatever you have on your own. You have Amazon.com to figure your life out. Or maybe you should have a community and a family, but a lot of times they don't.
Well, that's another underrepresented undercurrent that again is not trying to is silenced to an extent. Women who are saying, well, you're not really giving me a choice here. They're going, you're giving me a choice of I got to go to work or I'm a loser, right? So I just want to have a family. I just want to stay at home and raise my kids. And they get browbeated, right?
That's right.
They take them out at the kneecap more than us.
That's right. They get bullied immediately.
They get bullied by women, not by us. That's like we don't say anything. We actually try to go, okay, that would be beneficial to the feminists. Take them out at the knees. Now on MGTOW, we try to tell these guys, okay, don't trust, because at the end of the day, you can't trust any of them because they can use the court system at their advantage like that. So it's difficult for us to really accept them in and embrace them. But I can sympathize for them in the fact that they don't have a choice. Yeah. If you're a young woman that says, I just want to be a wife in a family and have a family, they get beat up.
And they got nowhere to turn to learn about it. On top of that, they get yelled at on the internet or in real life. They get, bitched at and shamed.
Their mothers yell at them.
That's right. Yeah.
Their sisters yell.
Go out and get a job and all this bullshit. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Don't be they tell them to go out and be whores.
Yeah.
Go whore around.
Party up, yeah.
Run yourself to the ground.
The Sheryl Sandberg Facebook COO plan, party in your 20s, bang all the bad boys, and then find a nice, good man who respects you at 30. It's like, wow.
But look at her life and look at what you're trying to do. Look at Sheryl Sandberg. Like, who would want that woman? Who would not many men will sign up and say, I'll take them. Monkey Simp would be like, I'll take her because she just has money. But they don't realize he has no power in that relationship. You will get beat down fast. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what you're saying now is, look, you're at least giving women an option.
Yep.
Make women great again. You can actually be more beneficial and given an option. When these women have no option. So they go and learn from whores who are single. They go and learn from single mothers. They go learn from divorced women, and they further the cycle.
Yep. We got to stop the war on motherhood, man. I had fun writing that one. Me and one of my guys, the war on motherhood. That's the feminist war on motherhood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun putting this together, man. It's funny how viral it went too. It's
beauty and the obesity.
Yeah. I try to make it beauty and the obese, but yeah, the obesity.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the body positivity crap they promote, where it's the fat women are beautiful and all this stuff. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Some guys think you're beautiful, but most guys, that's just unhealthy. Like,
that's one of those things, guys, that, we talked about the men who like older women. Men say they like fat women, again, because you've been jacking off the fat women on porn. Listen, you only like fat women because they're easy, and now you've been conditioned to like fat women. As a matter of fact, 70%, close to 70% of women are considered fat or obese or overweight. So you have no choice but to like fat women.
80 million of them. That's right. 80 million. We did the numbers on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have no choice but to like fat women. That's all you have available to you. And especially if you're poor, you have nothing but fat women available to you. So you got to like them, right? It's like one of these things that we've evolved to like.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I went to Poland last year for the convention, the country of Poland, and there's no fat women there.
Right.
I mean, like, none of them. It's just everywhere you go, women are in shape. I saw one fat woman there, I think, like the whole time I was there. I was there for a month.
Right.
And she's probably, she's probably Turkish or something like that. So it's not America. It's, guys, if you're in America and you have not traveled outside, like, you need to travel outside of it to see what is normal in other countries. Nice first world place like Poland, man, it's great. And the women there are beautiful. They're in shape. They hate feminism. They make fun of it usually. And they're not fat. They're in good shape. They take care. It's everybody, the men and women both. The men aren't fat either.
Right. Yeah. And this is something that we have to deal with as a country. Again, they take away our rights, and then they take away our belief system in maintaining health. All right. So now you don't have to be healthy, and now men should accept you as unhealthy or fat or obese or whatever it is. And the next parallel to that is that these same women who are fat and obese will never be seen in public with a fat or obese male.
Yeah, that's right.
So think about it on the man every time. Yeah, so they're like, oh, we should be fat and obese. We should be accepted, but only by the highest target men or the highest.
Those aren't fat women. Those are just plus size women.
Oh God,
you didn't get the news, man. Sorry.
Plus size. Plus size modeling was a woman who wore a dress size of 8 and above, not dress size of 20. Right? These women are now saying I'm plus size but I wear a dress size of 20 plus, whatever it is. Yeah. A plus size model was like an average woman today.
Yep. Another fun one we had, by the way, on the page was get pregnant, have unlimited babies. That really sent these people over the edge, man. They went nuts with this part. Because I think that strikes at the root of what they've been taught. I don't know how much you get into it in your book, but like you're saying with settling down, having kids and stuff early. Like, they're taught not to do that now. They're taught that that's for losers, or you should be shamed, or they say it's just a choice, but they're pushing an agenda behind it. They always push them to have kids at 39 years old. It's nuts, man.
It's nuts. This is nothing now to see a 40-year-old woman artificially inseminating herself while a guy jacked off into a petri dish and created their family. And they're good for you. All right. But if a 21-year-old woman decided, I want to have 5 children, they're like, no, don't do that.
Yeah. You have internalized patriarchy.
Yeah. And then you're actually more, if you have children by multiple men, you're actually told good for you. But if this woman wants to have 3 or 4 children with her husband, no, don't do that. This is the society that we live in.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Especially when you put it, jerking off into a petri dish and then getting artificially inseminated. That is fucking nuts.
To impregnate a 40-year-old woman.
Yeah. She's 20 years past, 2 decades past peak fertility.
Exactly.
It's not, and then it's the eggs and stuff too. They freeze the eggs. I know girls in Orlando do this stuff. 37, 38 years old, and actually, I know one girl. She tried to freeze her eggs and they failed. None of them work.
That's common though.
Yeah, it's expensive and doesn't even work half the time. Yeah,
they pay $50,000 for that.
Yeah.
And then what happens ultimately is they either don't take or they have triplets, right? It's like 3 of the eggs took.
Well, the crazy thing is they take infertility pills when they're young, the birth control. And then when they're 39, they take fertility pills. So it's like this backwards fucking shenanigans they go through. It's crazy.
This is the backwards world of you.
Yeah.
Backwards.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, man, it's been a great show.
Yeah, man.
This is one of the longest shows we've been on in a long time, over 2 hours. It's been great, man.
Good, man. We had a lot of good conversation on this one.
Yeah, we should have you on more often, man. It's been fucking great.
For sure. Yeah. Let me know. I'll come to anybody's platform to talk. I just want to debate a feminist. I don't argue with women who don't feed me or fornicate with me. That's my philosophy on it.
Oh,
so
the Mike Tyson philosophy.
Yeah, exactly. Feed me or fornicate, or at the end of the day, I don't have no discussion with you, but I will talk to men at the end of the day, even if I disagree with them.
I actually had a feminist coming after me, a big one. She had a blue check mark on Instagram and shit. And she was like this big bodybuilding chick. It was weird, man. Like real big woman. And she was saying she wants to interview me at the convention. She wants to interview me. She wants a press pass. And I was like, well, are we going to fornicate after?
Yeah.
And then I said, and then I CC'd Mike Tyson, his actual account.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
And she didn't get it, but all her followers did. It's fucked up. I would never do it. I would never bang her, but it was
no, right. Funny.
Yeah.
We got no business to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want to argue. It's not a real argument.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, thanks for your time,
appreciate
Greg.
It, man. Yeah, but appreciate it, man.
Guys, make sure you come meet myself and Greg, Coach Greg Adams here at the 21 Convention, second Patriarch Edition, coming to Orlando, Florida, this April 30th to May 3rd, 2020, going on basically at the same time as the 22 Convention, which starts a day later on the Friday, May 1st to May 3rd. Tickets are buy one, get one free. They're about half off right now still. Good price. Come out to the event. It's a long event, too. It's 4 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, plus Wednesday night. If you come early for like a meet and greet. It's a really good time. It's the ultimate manosphere event in the world. Woodstock of the manosphere. It's incredible. And this is our version of the convention that focuses much more on fathers and fatherhood, relationships, marriage, things like that, including, a lot of guys are they're the divorce and stuff. So yeah, being a father, man, today. I think fathers really get it the worst,
They do.
Fathers have already spread their toxic masculinity physically. So I think you guys are really doubled down as a demographic getting hated like that.
True.
And guys like Greg here are here to put together a conference and speeches and workshops and ideas to help you guys out. All these guys, man. Elliot Hull, Stefan Molyneux, Cernovich, Ryan Mitchell, Tanner, and Hunter, of course. Coming out, guys. I appreciate you appreciate you coming out to the event. We'll wrap up. Greg, I'm gonna end the broadcast. Thank you again.
Thanks a lot.
Everybody watching, go subscribe to his channel. You'll find a link at the top of a video description on Redman Group and 21 Studios for it.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for showing me. It's a good time over here. Thanks for showing me a good time.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. And see you guys next week, 11 a.m., episode 100 of the Redman Group.